Well, this time of the year, of course, all of the various churches around the city are rehearsing their choirs at a mad pace so that they're going to sound their best on the biggest religious event of the Christian holiday. The birth of Jesus Christ the Savior. Here now, the parish choir of the First English Lutheran Church of Appleton.
TV's great on 8 with the Foxtowner.
The largest food pantry in Wisconsin is operated by St. Joseph's Catholic Congregation in Appleton, who serve an estimated 1,600 needy families and persons in the Fox cities. Very frankly, many of the people who are being served could go hungry at Christmas if it were not for St. Joseph's. What's it like to stand in line at the food pantry? Well, we're going to take you on a client's view, except it'll be you who'll be standing in line. The entire operation is manned by volunteers, and it strikes you almost immediately that the volunteers are a happy and caring group who genuinely enjoy what they are doing. It's not a coffee clutch. It's hard work. Everyone is not only donating their time, but they are more than pulling their share of duty. Donations of food and money come from local corporations, individuals, food processors, and supermarkets. You know, it was just a few years ago, before the St. Joseph program was organized, that many needy in the valley were actually forced to forage garbage cans and dumpsters, and did so regularly in order to be able to eat. Now that's a sad commentary for a wealthy community like Appleton, who, until the St. Joseph Food Program, generally ignored the local homeless and the poverty-stricken. The food program is run by a board of directors, more than 75 volunteers of all ages contributing their time. That amounts to about 14,000 volunteer hours a year. The food program generally supplements, for those in need, welfare recipients, elderly persons, migrants, disabled persons, shut-ins, refugees, people at or below the poverty level income. Many of those receiving government aid can benefit by the supplements to provide a nutritionally balanced diet. This is where the St. Joseph's Food Program fills in. The food program is open 5 days a week, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. until noon. All those applying for the program are given a confidential interview and qualify if they meet the government figures for the poverty level of income. No one is turned away hungry. Can you help? All income is obtained either from donations, which are tax deductible, or government subsidy. Workers are volunteers. And if you'd be interested in getting involved as a worker or as a donor, well, why don't you stop by the program, see how it works, and talk with some of the people who are there.
It was put up by a meat truck because it would have been that fancy, right? I mean, this is not a homemade job.
I don't think so. It's all right.
I'll get up on it.
In fact, it says on the label.
I need to look at it.
Why don't you send that something new and why don't you send it here for
What happens when you turn the aisle up,
let's put it this way. But hey, when we're done,
I shove it right out in the hall if you got it my way.
I'm going to put it right in the truck.
Sakis, Vanasha. It was Freud. It's Freud. Henry.
Merry Christmas, Kakana.
Happy holidays, Town of Menasha from Cablevision.
Season's greetings to Appleton.
Happy New Year from Cablevision.
Season's greetings to my locks. Happy holidays, Little Shoot.
Happy New Year, Kimberly.
Happy holidays from Cablevision.
Happy holidays from Cablevision. Merry Christmas from Cablevision.
Happy New Year and Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays from Cablevision.
Happy New Year, Grand Shoot.
Merry Christmas from Cablevision.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Happy holidays from Cablevision.
Right now, let's take a run down Wisconsin Avenue, and let's make a visit to an old-fashioned candy store. You don't see this very often anymore. The old-fashioned corner candy store where just about everything you see that makes your mouth water is made right in that store. Peter, Lisa, and Elizabeth Garvey, they're the folks who run Wilmar's. It's a true family shop, like it used to be during those Christmases past. Let's take a look around. And then after we've had our fill, Peter Garvey will show us his secret for making caramel.
was just curious if perhaps you could tell that story better than I.
There was a, this came out a few weeks ago, I don't know. And they discussed that they're introduced a band-up cat. But there was a case where I got to the last 10-year-old guy in St. Louis, Nevertheless, inside of what may have been 8 to 19 and this would be him at zero now.
Okay, are we going to mail it for you?
That's for real, right? Now, what are you making?
It's caramel.
Caramel, huh? This might sound dumb, but just exactly how do you make caramel, or is that a secret?
Well, no, it's usually a combination of sugar and corn syrup and then milk and some kind of butter fat, either cream or butter. And then it's cooked for usually a pretty long period of time.
How long have you been working on that batch?
About 35 minutes, just about that.
How many caramels is that going to make?
Well, if we just make them into different thins, and for just wrapping up it'll make about 500 caramels. And what I do with this is make turtles and some caramel to wrap.
How do you test it? Do you try it and eat it yourself, or?
I dip my finger in and pull somewhat.
You actually put your finger in there?
First I pull my finger off.
Well, we want to see that. Is that known as a test of fire? Is that a test of fire, more or less?
Yeah, this is, with caramel, it's not cooked that high that this is actually dangerous.
Uh-huh.
As long as you cool your hands up.
Yeah, I would imagine that you'd have
That way
to.
you get the touch of it right away.
You mean, in other words, the real test is by touch?
Yep. It's so thick that it's hard to measure with a thermometer accurately. So you just go by, I go by how it looks too. I dip my finger in here 20 or 30 times a day. I just wait till it looks.
A question, have you ever really burned your finger?
Not on this. I have splashed myself with peanut brittle and burnt the dickens out of my hand.
Uh-huh.
Never doing this. It's always wet and it's not really a problem. It took some courage to do it the first time there.
Are you happy in your chosen profession of dipping there?
Yes.
Tell us the truth now. Do we kind of nip once in a while, or does it all go on the pan there for sale?
All goes on the pan. Excuse me. We don't eat much when we're dipping.
How many of those do you dip in a day, or have you kept count at all?
I would say about each one of us, maybe about 2,000.
A day?
A day.
Does that cause you to lose your appetite at all for candy?
Not at all.
Not at all. We eat a lot.
Let me just remind our audience.
Well, now, how is that candy, what kind of candy is that you're using there for the dipping?
Well, what we're dipping today is a coconut center.
Uh-huh.
And it's something that we make right here. We start out with coconut and sugar and go from there. And we're dipping it into our chocolate today. These are like a mountain bar.
Oh, I see. Okay. And then you dip her and...
Something like that, yeah.
Uh-huh. Have you ever wanted to shake hands with anyone?
Sure.
On topics closely related to it. We are trying to keep you up to date on what we're learning about the disease. And
What is this down here? Is that a heart key? It is, huh?
We thought you'd enjoy browsing around something from a Christmas past, which is still with us here today in Appleton. Well, once again, the parish choir of Appleton's First English Lutheran Church, this time featuring Peggy Conniff on the flute and the First English bells, Sarah Johnson, John Meyer, Matt and Maggie Thompson.
Hello, and welcome to our special guest, handsomely dressed in a raincoat, a fellow who truly leads a dog's life. Meet McGruff, the crime dog.
Thanks, Dick. It may be a dog's life, but I'm helping people take a bite out of crime.
Indeed you are. Now, do I understand that neighborhood watch programs have reduced crime in some areas as much as 50%?
That's right, but there's more to be done.
Well, tell me about it, which I'm sure he will.
You bet. Make sure your neighborhood has plenty of lights. Leave one on in your house at night, and remember, light a light to stop a thief.
Shady characters prefer the dark, eh?
You got it. Also, start a volunteer escort service for older folks.
Aha, good news for the old folks at home, eh? What about the young folks?
Start McGruff houses.
Which are?
Houses kids can duck into in case of trouble.
Terrific. Anything else?
Yeah, that's a nice jacket, Dick.
Oh, thanks, McGruff. Hey, and thanks for all you're doing. For more information, write to this address and help
take a bite out of crime.
And now the Foxtowner presents an Appleton Christmas card. That's the Foxtowner. I'm Walt Kalata. Have a joyous holiday. Thanks for inviting me in.
The Valley TV magazine, The Foxtowner, is seen twice monthly here on CPN 8. Check your Cablevision TV program guide for the next Foxtowner date. If you have a subject idea, you think you should appear on The Foxtowner, or want to express an opinion, call The Foxtowner at 731-9790 any day after 11:30 a.m. Your calls are welcome. This is your announcer, Jim Shador, inviting you to join us again. Foxtowner is a Libra Day presentation. Here's the Foxtowner, the only television magazine in the Valley by and about Valley folks. And now your host, the man who gets around and knows the Valley best, Walt Kalata.
You know, dogs have been getting kind of a bum rap recently, especially with all those articles that have been in the paper and the features on television and in the magazines about pit bulls. All of a sudden, dogs are portrayed as some sort of vicious beast that's going to tear you apart. Well, that's quite a bit from the truth. You know, nature did not invent a pit bull. It was man. And if dogs are vicious, it's probably pretty much the fault of man. Because you see, by nature, dogs are not vicious. They're family people. They have a society. They're very conservative. And they are actually very loving. You know, dogs have been partners with man for, according to anthropologists, probably 20,000 years or more. You know, they've been in our wars. They're police dogs. We use them to sniff drugs at airports. You name it, a dog somewhere in history has probably done it. Like one of the perhaps most noble things that dogs are doing for man today. They are the eyes for the unsighted. And that's truly an amazing story. And that's our first feature this evening. It's all about how guide dogs are selected, trained, and how they're mated with their masters so that they can be a pair of eyes.
Barney, straight. Straight, good.
For hundreds of people without sight, this relationship begins in Sylmar, California, at a school supported by contributions from the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers. For more than a quarter century, International Guiding Eyes has given sightless people the ability to move freely in a world of beauty they cannot see. Labrador Retrievers, Golden Retrievers, and German Shepherds are the breeds usually selected to become guiding eyes, dogs of calm disposition. Before they begin formal training, puppies live with foster families. They need the companionship of people, and this period of social contact is important to the dog's growth.
We became foster puppy parents 5 years ago when I wanted to have my own dog, and I called International Guiding Eyes, and they explained to me their foster puppy program. And we've enjoyed doing it so much because we aren't able to give a blind person our own sight, so we feel like we can do the next best thing by providing a blind person with a stable guide dog in the future.
A dog must be at least a year old before it can begin its training, and for every 10 dogs selected, only one eventually becomes a guiding eye dog.
Barney, hold.
Learning begins when the dog works with an experienced trainer.
Good boy. It's hard work to train the dogs. It takes a lot of patience and a lot of repetition, showing the dog the curve, repeating and repeating until they finally catch on and make the decision on their own. Sometimes the guide dogs may have to make a life and death decision. If it is not safe for the guide dog and the blind person to proceed, the dog will stop and respectfully disobey the blind person's command. The dogs will have to learn how to go around obstacles. Now with Barney, I walk straight to the obstacle and I show him the fence. He stops for the fence. I tell him, good boy. All we use is verbal praise. Then I go around the fence by making a right turn, stopping at the curb. I show it to him. Good boy. Yeah. And then proceed with a forward command out into the street. Forward. Left. Atta boy.
Before a sightless person begins to work with a dog, he or she trains with an instructor to learn how to give commands, to begin the communication that will develop into a special language.
Okay, now follow the dog. Go ahead and pass the leash to your left hand, and then the leash back in the right hand. The dog will sit at your left side. As soon as the dog's in position, you always want to make sure you praise her. The next command will be Juno down. Okay, with your left hand, you're going to be gesturing.
Since the guiding eye dog is an extension of the sightless person's own physical and mental characteristics, great care is taken to match dog and owner in size and temperament.
Steps up, halt, and we'll make a right turn. Very good. Go ahead, Chris.
Zero, forward.
Through weeks of training and thousands of small episodes, dog and master will become partners. The mechanics of command, stilted and uneasy at first, will eventually become as instinctive and spontaneous as dancing.
No, not the dog. Zoro, hop up.
Good boy.
Good boy.
Dog and master spend every hour together. During the weeks of training at the International Guiding Eye School, dogs sit by their masters at each meal. They live together in one room and begin to develop the rare relationship of mutual dependability.
Hungry? Yeah.
After weeks of training, the sightless person and the guiding eye dog both graduate in the real world. To a person without sight, the simple ability to get around affects the kind of individual the sightless person will be.
It's incredible. My whole life changed when I got that dog. Before, I'd be hesitant when walking down the street. Now you just tell the dog forward, and he goes off, and he goes forward, and you don't have to bump into objects because a dog leads you around everything. The confidence it gives you is unbelievable because you don't have to worry about finding your way around anymore. It's like a good friend always being with you, even when you're alone. I don't feel sorry for myself because I am given the choice of whether I can sit home and do nothing or I can go to school, I can work, and it's up to me. And this is something that has to come from within you. If you feel sorry for yourself, the only way to solve it is to go out and do something. But I've never been that way, you know. I can't see sitting home and crying the blues because hoping and praying won't change anything. The only way to overcome the obstacles of blindness is to go out and be successful. A lot of people think that people that are blind can't do anything, can't get around, don't have families. Well, I work in downtown Los Angeles. I enjoy camping, hiking, restaurants, plays. I have a wife, a little son, Michael, who is almost a year old, and we get along very well. The dog loves everybody, and he's very protective of all of us. He watches over us.
The guiding eye dog becomes part of the family. But for some people without sight, for those who live alone, the guiding eye dog is the family.
Ginger is not just a dog to me. She's my sight, she's my friend, she's my love. She guides me everywhere I go. And most important thing for me, she's there when I need her. Without sight, you imagine, you listen, and you feel. So with me, I imagine how beautiful things are now. I think everything is beautiful. I can say that Ginger enjoyed the garden as much as I did because there's something to see that she hadn't seen. And of course, she doesn't know colors, but she do know beauty when she sees it. It's beautiful to her. Just to taste them, I guess she thinks is more beautiful to eat than to look. So without Ginger, I don't know what I would do, but I say with Ginger, I can do anything I want to do.
human beings, or guiding eye dogs, we do our best when we feel our best. At the Sylmar Center, a dog's health is of great concern, and health care is available during training and after.
About 3 days.
One of the things I've noticed in working with these guide dogs from International Guiding Eye is a very close personal relationship that develops between these dogs and the recipients. Blind recipients seem to become very acutely aware of these dogs' physical needs, any disease processes that develop. And that particular aspect has been most gratifying to me, to see the concern and ability that these people have to take care of these dogs, especially when I'm in a practice where a lot of animals go neglected. These particular animals receive the best of care.
You know, it's kind of funny, when I've been working in the industry, in the entertainment industry for a number of years, and as I gradually lost my sight, it became increasingly more difficult for me to work in my original field, which was photography. And finally, after I lost the last of my sight, one of my real ambitions was to get back into the industry, and I think having a guide dog probably made it a great deal easier than it would have been otherwise, simply because of the fact that even though you're talking about an industry that works on imagination, or hopefully so, sometimes people's individual imaginations are a little bit limited, and they tend to see more of what you can't do in their mind as opposed to what you are capable of doing. And I think just having a guide dog and the increased mobility, the ability to show up on a location on my own, to move freely around the sets, to come and go without having to rely on somebody else, and as a result, it made that transition into a position as a recording engineer a great deal more comfortable than it might have been otherwise. Good boy. Good boy. Okay. That a boy.
The ability of a sightless person to move about freely not only influences relationships with other people, it contributes to the self-image a blind person has of him or herself. A guide dog makes that possible.
Turkey sandwich? Okay.
Good girl. Where's the door, Jenny? Good girl. Sorry? Before I had Jenny, my life was just empty. It's like I didn't have anything that I wanted, anything to look forward to. I didn't like not having the freedom and the independence that I was used to. And I was lonely. I had my husband, but I was still lonely from not being able to be my own person. And when I got Jenny, it was like somebody handed me my own person back. They handed me my life back. They just showed me a new way to go. And ever since then, that's what we've been doing. We've been going.
The relationship between dog and master is as close and as complex as that of child and parent. It's well to remember, I think, something every sightless man or woman knows. Because the blind person cannot see, but the guide dog can, human limitation is balanced with canine potential. Both have the capacity to love. And this makes possible patience, self-discipline, and trust.
Through love, each recognizes and forgives the other's limitations. The working partnership between the two achieves a balance rarely equaled in human families. We hope the time spent with our friends here at International Guiding Eyes has sharpened your perception of a relationship rare in our world. So for the 1 million members of the Machinists Union, and for all the people here, and for Honey, this is Cliff Robertson thanking you for watching. From your perception of a relationship rare in our world. So for the 1 million members of the Machinists Union and for all the people here, and for Honey, this is Cliff Robertson thanking you for watching.
Well, now that we're in the midst of the winter doldrums, maybe we have time to fantasize a little bit, especially if you're not going to be able to be one of the snowbirds and head to the southern climes and the sun belt. But we can still dream while the wind and the snow is blowing around outside. And perhaps one of the things to dream about that we would enjoy most would be a treasure hunt. How would you like to go on a treasure hunt? Well, we're going to do that right now.
How you doing over there, JR? Having any luck?
Not yet. Are you sure we're looking in the right place?
Well, they say seeing is believing. Come over here and take a look.
Wow. So that's what plaster gold looks like. Sure is pretty.
Yep, sure is.
Hey, how come I didn't get any?
Well, it takes a while to get the hang of it, JR. And you got to learn to read the creek.
Read it?
Yeah. You know, like right after rain and the water's moving fast, if it's carrying any gold, it slows down on this side of the bend as it goes around the curve. And it drops the gold here. And then maybe on the other side where the roots of the trees and the grasses are sticking out, it'll catch the fine gold, you see.
Oh, around big rocks and things.
Yeah, that's right. And it does take patience and persistence. Of course, there are other ways to find gold.
Oh, like buried treasure.
Yeah.
Well, do people really find things like that today?
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's head back, and while we're driving home, I'll tell you about a treasure that was found right here in this area. There was a man called the Goat Doctor.
You mean he took care of sick goats?
No, he was called the Goat Doctor because he raised goats for their milk. Actually, he was a healer and practiced the laying on of hands. The Goat Doctor was sickly as a boy, and his mother brought him to the foothills of the Sierra Nevada where her intuition told her that the healthful surroundings would help him. She bought a farm and began to put the unique healing talents that she became famous for to work. She recognized that he was also gifted and taught him all that she knew. Years went by. The young man grew into the practice that his mother had started. He became even more famous than she was as a healer. He seemed to have a cure for just about everything. People came from miles around to see him. He was revered and respected. He also had a very unusual fee system. He never charged anything, but most folks would leave him at least $2 or $3. And sometimes, if his patient was a rich man or a famous movie star, he was often given more because the results were so spectacular. He was also unusual inasmuch as he always preferred to be paid in silver coins.
Instead of paper money?
Yes. If people gave him paper money, he'd take it to the bank and exchange it for silver dollars.
What do you do that for?
Oh, I suppose he figured that silver coins were a lot safer to bury than paper money.
Bury it? Where?
Oh, nobody knew that for many years until a man bought what used to be the old Goat Doctor's farm, which by then had been destroyed by fire. The new owner hired a couple of men to bulldoze the charred remains in preparation for building a new home.
What are we going to do now? Maybe we ought to call the owner. Hell, maybe we ought to call the sheriff.
Man, are you crazy? This is finders keepers. Are we gonna party tonight? Hey, wait a minute, man. We might get in trouble here. What are you talking about? The owner doesn't know this is here. What he won't know won't hurt him. Boy, fill your hat. All right. All right.
These men went off to pursue two of man's oldest sins, drinking and gambling.
Here's your drinks, fellas. Can I get you anything else?
Just come over here and bring me some luck, sweet thing.
Oh, you just holler, honey, if you want anything. I'll come a-running.
Steal them cards. We need another round, sweet thing. Make it a round for the house.
Oh, boy, you rob a bank?
No, just a little something we kind of, dug up. What you got there, bud? I got 2 pair. 3 cowboys for me.
Full house. Jacks on top. Well, I guess you boys are about done.
Steal the card.
How much did they find?
Nobody really knows. Some say they went through as much as $40,000. Sure must have made for some party.
Naturally, it was just a matter of time until the word got around, and soon there were people all over the property digging holes and finding more money. And before the owner could get the sheriff out there to stop him, many more thousands of dollars had been taken.
I'll bet the owner was mad.
Well, you sure can't blame him. Those folks were trespassing. Anyway, it was a year or so before he'd let anybody else come on the property. By then, a friend of mine had contacted him and convinced him that there was more silver buried on the property. And he got permission from him to look for it. And this is the story as Jimmy told it to me.
My hunting team and I arrived early one Halloween morning to hunt the goat doctor's ranch. We decided to spread out and try our luck and just sort of follow our instincts as treasure hunters.
I think it'd probably be best if we all spread out. Why don't you all work down that direction? I'll work on over here.
I had this particular feeling about a group of pine trees on the other side of the creek. As I made my way across the creek, this feeling of imminent success came over me. Like the closer I got, the more drawn I felt. I took off my gloves, tuned my detector, and began searching. I only went a few feet when suddenly I felt this urge to turn around, and this one pine tree, not much different than any of the others, although maybe it was just a little bit bigger, well, it just drew me toward it. I headed toward that tree, swinging my detector, searching the area quickly. In fact, the closer I got, the more drawn I felt. At one point, I almost ran. I could feel that treasure getting close. I wasn't even surprised when the signal went off on my detector. I was disappointed when it turned out to be only a silver dime. But I put the dime in my pouch and picked up my detector and started off again. Suddenly I felt this urge to turn around, and this one pine tree made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. I had that same overpowering confidence. This prompted me to test the ground around the base of that tree. Oh my gosh. Oh, man. Oh. I don't believe it. Ed, I think I have something. It was a large, rotted-out bank bag containing what turned out to be over 2,000 silver coins. In fact, they popped out at me like the seeds of a ripe pomegranate. This cache of coins sparked the enthusiasm of the hunt, and we began systematically hunting the goat doctor's property, working the grounds and digging and detecting and inspecting and picking over every inch. In fact, we dug up all kinds of objects, such as tools and shovels and even part of an old stove. So we wouldn't miss anything good. We searched behind where the house stood, down by the creek, around the fences and trees. And this thoroughness continued to pay off, because near the corner of the fence, in the orchard, under a bush, I had another strong signal.
I got something.
What is it?
It's like a metal can. Look here, Jim.
Another box. Oh, boy. What? Oh, boy, there's the coin. We did it again. You got them in there. We got to get that out, too, now. We dug up a can of silver dollars in halves. And under that can, in that very same hole was a second can. Before that day ended, we even uncovered a third cache.
We hit it again.
Another large can full of silver coins. All in all, that one day at the goat doctor's property produced near $40,000 in silver. Well, I'll tell you, it was a Halloween we'll long remember.
Coins. 1922.
1920, 1901.
So you see, J.R., there is a lot of treasure to be found even today, gold and silver. And as a matter of fact, they say there are more coins lost than there are in circulation.
Wow, I sure would like to find some of them.
Hey, there's Jimmy Sierra now, over there with Gigi. Now you get a chance to meet him firsthand.
And how did my treasure hunters do today?
Well, we could have done better, but we still had a lot of fun, didn't we, J.R.? Jimmy, how are you?
Fine, thanks, Clint.
J.R., I want you to meet Jimmy Sierra.
Pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you too, J.R.
Uncle Clint just told me a story about the goat doctor. Did you really find all those silver dollars?
You bet I did. I keep one in my pocket, just for good luck. Well, by golly, looks like I got an extra one in here. How'd you like to have one for good luck too, J.R.?
Wow, thanks a lot.
You're welcome. I've got something here for you too, Clint. Remember that metal detector you ordered?
Oh, boy.
Well, here it is. I hope you have better luck with this prospecting and treasure hunting than you did with that gold pan.
Well, I bet you I will.
Well, I'm going to have to do some prospecting of my own now. I'll see you later, Clint.
Okay, Jimmy.
Okay, take care, J.R.
Bye-bye, Jimmy.
Bye-bye, Gigi.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Incidentally, dinner is almost ready.
Okay. Hey, J.R., didn't she say that dinner was almost ready? Come on, we got some time.
Hope you enjoyed the program this evening. Thanks a lot for inviting us in. I'm the Foxtowner, Walt Kalata. We'll see you down the line.
The Valley TV magazine, The Foxtowner, is seen twice monthly here on CPN 8. Check your Cablevision TV program guide for the next Foxtowner date. If you have a subject idea, you think you should appear on The Foxtowner, or want to express an opinion, call The Foxtowner at 731-9790 any day after 11:30 a.m. Your calls are welcome. This is your announcer, Jim Shador, inviting you to join us again. Foxtowner is a Libra Day presentation.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of CPN 8 or Cablevision of the Fox Cities.
Expeditionary forces of Appleton and Grand Chute battle to a stalemate in the now historic Battle of Mud Creek. To this correspondent, it appeared neither side was attempting to score a decisive victory, but rather engaged in strategy to show either side has muscle to flex. From the front lines of Appleton and Grand Chute, this is your correspondent, Walt Kalata.
Here's the Foxtowner, the only television magazine in the Valley by and about Valley folks. And now your host, the man who gets around and knows the Valley best, Walt Kalata.
We may have been just a little melodramatic introducing the first subject of tonight's Foxtowner, the Appleton and the Grand Chute consolidation issue. Until recently, it was in progress. If you look back at history, wars were begun and fought between nations for about the same reason: territory, wealth. This probably will not be the first program that we're going to offer on Appleton versus Grand Chute in the quest of consolidation. But if we were to attempt a mini-series, this probably could be it. Tonight, we'll begin by showing you just how these talks got underway. When you consider for almost 20 years, it was almost impossible to suggest that anyone between the two communities should sit down and talk about a merger. This is Grand Chute. It's a combination of the rural and the urban. Grand Chute is mostly because of Appleton. The roots trace back more than 40 years when the local economy and growth began to really surge, and Appleton's city limits were then restricted. So to make room for a growing population and business in this area, and to provide for the industry, there was no choice. Expansion had to go to the cow pasture. A cow pasture called Grand Chute. The greatest expansion began in about the 1950s and 60s, and somewhere in that decade, the present rift began to develop. Once a tax island, Grand Chute now faces the possibility of enormous costs. That's been one of the prime reasons to suggest consolidation, and perhaps why those talks could now appear to be more attractive when they didn't only a few years ago. When someone thinks about Grand Chute, however, this is the scene that probably comes to mind most often. This is what we now call the Strip. This is the area that connects the Fox River Mall and downtown Appleton. It's the area of the greatest wealth in the town of Grand Chute. And some portions of this area already are in the process of coming into the city of Appleton.
I've seen the problems that have been existing over the last few years between Grand Chute and the city of Appleton, and felt that this might be an opportunity to sit down and determine the pros and cons of a possible merger.
What about public reaction? Has anybody
expressed any thoughts to you?
Interestingly enough, the response has been very favorable. Many people claim that it's about time that this was done, and even though there's no way of knowing what might come of it, at least they feel happy that the people are going to sit down and start talking and discussing the possibilities.
For yourself, what do you hope will come out of this?
Well, as I say, I think that many of the people of Grand Chute don't realize the advantages there are in being in the city, and the disadvantages there could be later on should the city expand to a great extent in that area, and then the residential areas not be included in the city, and the taxes in that area would go up considerably. And I felt that if they have an opportunity to evaluate all of these facts, they will then be able to make a better decision, and ultimately the decision is that of the people.
One final question. Speculation. Do you anticipate that this likely will enter controversial discussion? Or have you thought about that?
Yes, I've given quite a great deal of thought, because no one likes to make a resolution just to have a resolution on the books and not have anything come of it. I would hope that they would take a good hard look at this thing and discuss it in depth, and then of course it's going to be up to the people to make a decision. But there are a lot of facts out there that have not been brought to light, and that should be, and I would just hope that in the long run the people would have that opportunity to have those facts and make a what you'd call an intelligent decision.
What you just witnessed was a sequence that we filmed several months ago. What we were trying to do was put together the start of what we thought would be a running account of the talks between Appleton and Grand Chute, which might be leading to some resolution of that long-standing question of consolidation. Well, of course, the key word is start. The talks did indeed start, and so did our program. But neither the talks or the show are going anywhere. If anything has emerged at all, Appleton Alderman Tony Rozecki scores the only accomplishment. The resolution he authored to get the talks underway pinpoints for all to see that enormous wall of parochial environment which still exists to be overcome. And so the question at this time is, will this program be completed? Is this the Fox City's continuing soap? Well, all we can say is stay tuned for more, if it happens, or maybe you've seen it all.
You're watching the Foxtowner on Cable TV 8. Stay tuned.
Please volunteer for the American Red Cross.
And now the story of a modern-day king. Once each year, the king of Swaziland, which is in Africa, summons young maidens of that realm for their annual initiation ceremony. It's called the reed dance. After cutting reeds from the banks of various designated sacred rivers, the young ladies embark on a week-long ritual, climaxing when the reeds are presented to the young king. He's 19 years old, the world's youngest ruling monarch. You'll see the event along with some never-before-seen rare film footage.
These young women have just embarked on 6 of the most important days of their lives. They are among thousands of maidens ordered by the King of Swaziland to cut 30 reeds each from the banks of the country's rivers. It's all part of an ancient ritual in one of Africa's smallest countries. The days ahead will see the advent of womanhood, a centuries-old tradition. The umhlanga, or reed dance, is about to be reenacted. The Tingabisa, or maidens, are accompanied by older folk who will see to it that during, and especially after the reed cutting, no disgrace comes on the girls. Traditionalists believe that if the maidens have been immoral, they will be exposed during the period ahead. It's said that if the conduct of the young women has been dishonorable, the feathery fluffs of their reeds will wither while they sleep. Once disgraced, a Swazi woman may never return to cut reeds. But for those who have not been disgraced, this is a time of great joy. There's no shyness here as the girls prepare to cross into womanhood. The days are their own. Even motorists are warned to give way to the maidens and their traditional warriors. Out of the blue, two Western faces appear. American Peace Corps workers in Swaziland who have decided to take part in Umhlanga. Like the rest of the girls, they will pack their reeds onto lorries which will help ferry them to the king's enclosure. One of the strangers, Cynthia Skoda, comes from Johnstown in New York State.
In order to get permission to come, I had to go first to my Swazi father, then to my chief of my area. Then I had to come and ask Lindiwa Manana, the young woman who you see around here, if I could join. Then I arrived at Lubamba with a regiment of girls from my area. I was registered with them, which just means our numbers were counted and our names were written under our chief and our Invuna.
The Swazi royal kraal and thousands of maidens have arrived carrying their reed bundles. The girls now take turns to deliver their reeds, which will be used to build a windbreak around the kraal, protecting the Regent Queen Mother during the months ahead. The Regent Queen Mother arrives, accompanied by her entourage. She and the world's youngest monarch, 18-year-old King Mswati III, were very impressed with the standard of the dancing. The spectacle roused proud mothers as they recognized their daughters. The presentation of fruit signifies parental appreciation that these girls have remained pure and are able to take part in the festivities. The reed dance is Swaziland's second most important event, after the initiation of young men during the Inkwala, or first fruit dance.
Cable TV 8, home of the Foxtowner. Stay tuned.
Buckle up, Wisconsin. Buckle them up. It's now the law in our state, and there's reason to cheer. Hundreds of lives will be saved each year. Yeah, plus fewer serious injuries. The new seatbelt law in Wisconsin is for drivers and passengers of all ages. So treat yourself to a safer way to ride by buckling those seatbelts. They're on your side. It's now the law, you know, a law we can live with and a better way to go for our todays and our tomorrows.
You know, this is the season of the calendar. No matter where you go, somebody gives you a calendar, maybe someone mails one to you. Some of them are pretty nice. There are some that are really terrible and probably best belong in that circular file. But we found a calendar that's particularly nice, attractive, a real standout. It's not one that you're likely to receive because it goes to a very specialized clientele. It's printed on probably some of the most expensive paper that's produced in the mills of the Fox Valley. It depicts Fox Valley scenes, and the people who receive it are those being induced to move their businesses and industry to the Fox City's metro area. Now, what we'd like to do is share some of the scenes of this calendar with you this evening. Let's do something a little different. Let's start with December of this year, 1988, and then we'll come back to the present. And in this calendar, we begin with the end, which is a scene from Lawrence University. December 1988. As Walter Cronkite used to say, and you are there. A scene from the Horicon Marsh, familiar to anyone in this area who, of course, likes to participate in duck hunting. This is called Autumn Mist, Winnebago County. Now remember, in this calendar, all of the scenes are from Outagamie, Winnebago, and Fond du Lac counties. This calendar was produced by Chambers of Commerce and tourist boards in all three counties. Here now we have Country Road, Winnebago County. And Tom, I think you've probably walked on many a road like this. Tom is our cameraman who's just left the camera and he's trying to walk into the monitor now. You'll have to wait a few months. Now, there's a good reason why Sunset Park is called Sunset Park in Kimberley. Doesn't leave much to the imagination as to why the name is as it is. And incidentally, all of these are by local photographers as well. And here's an event that everyone looks forward to in the Fox Cities in the summer, Oshkosh and the EAA. We're already into July. And considering the time of the year we're at right now, that's not such a bad thought. Now here we come to June 1988. Again, a scene from Lake Winnebago. Once a very familiar scene, then forgotten, now coming back. I don't know which of the two riverboats this is. I believe it's the Valley Queen. Oshkosh. These, of course, the formal gardens at the Payne Art Center. I think everyone from the Valley at one time or another has seen these. It's scenes like this on this calendar that is part of the overall program to interest other people into coming into the Valley. Well, now things are going to cool just a little bit. This is supposed to be a Wisconsin march on the farm. Now we're getting back to the present, almost February. This is in the Kettle Moraines. And of course, January is unmistakable. This is the Fond du Lac Lighthouse, and I think everybody's familiar with that. Well, when we said we thought we had a super calendar to share with you this evening, the Foxtowner, well, you just saw it. A few credits, I think, are due, and we'd like to pass those along to you. This calendar that you've just witnessed was a production from several folks: Patterson Ross Advertising, OEC Graphics, Outlook Graphics, Northwestern Color Graphics Incorporated, plus, as we mentioned a moment ago, the cooperation of the Chambers of Commerce in the Fox Cities, Winnebago and Fond du Lac counties, and naturally some very talented photographers. It's a testimonial to what happens when people pool their talents and they work together in a cooperative effort. Now that Appleton and many Fox Valley communities are heading into an election year, a question: do the ghosts of long-gone mayors watch over their cities from the beyond? Well, if you've ever been to the entrance of the Appleton City Council chambers at City Hall, there's a kind of rogues gallery of pictures of all of the city's past mayors. You're looking at, or rather, Amos Story, Appleton's first mayor, is looking at you. And it looks like he was the kind of guy that you probably shouldn't fool with. Story was mayor from 1857 to 1859. There is an odd effect that occurs as you walk by those pictures of the late mayors. If you look closely, it almost appears as if their eyes follow you. Now we'll move in a little closer, and we'll see if we can capture the effect with our camera. Here's looking at you. Well, rest well tonight. Appleton's mayors past are watching over our city. And now some scenes from last summer's Flag Day Parade. Revisiting the annual Flag Day Parade, we recall, of course, it is the nation's largest tribute to our flag. And, of course, one of the big events of the summer season in Appleton because it draws upwards of 100,000 persons and more. In fact, a lot of people like to say that when it's Flag Day, summer is just about over because the next event is the 4th of July. Of course, everyone's just kidding. Just about a year ago, plans were put in place to package the parade for syndicated distribution and broadcast by television stations in other television markets. Some additional distribution was planned to cable stations like our own Channel 8, and Cablevision of the Fox Cities would have been the flagship for that. The program was taped, it was in post-production, but it was never broadcast. Had it been locally, you would have viewed the Flag Day Parade on Channel 26 from Green Bay, or here on Channel 8. These scenes, of course, taken along the route which lead to the reviewing stand. All of these shot from inside the parade. Actually, last June was not a bad time of the year. If you want to make some comparisons, hi there. Take a look out the window at what we have right now. Part of what you're watching would have been cut into that actual parade coverage program. So how come the parade was never broadcast? Well, word was handed down from City Hall to me, and I was the producer, not to proceed with the project. And of course we followed orders. The project was dropped. And it would be an understatement to say at this time that I did feel some very personal resentment about that decision. Here we turn down to College Avenue. Now, had this gone nationally, as we had planned, this is one of the first scenes of Appleton that viewers across the country would have seen. These are the aldermen in their official procession. This holiday season, you probably viewed many parades being broadcast from major cities on your screen. And some actually were edited reruns. Well, the Appleton Flag Day Parade was also slotted for a holiday rerun. And of course, the Flag Day Parade would have exposed Appleton's prettiest community face to possibly millions of viewers. Why the order to drop the project was given, I'm not certain, but it seems to come as somewhat of a controversy at a time when Appleton is trying to promote its community image beyond our own area to attract that new business and industry here. And of course, the perfect vehicle to accomplish that, the Flag Day Parade, was squashed. Incidentally, the street temperature that afternoon, in case you would like to make some comparisons, was 103 degrees. You'll see that, I think, in just a moment. Well, all is not lost. There were many fine special segments that we developed in connection with the parade production, which are saved and they are on tape. And they are going to be included in the broadcast of the 1988 Flag Day event. And that broadcast is going to go on whether anyone at City Hall likes it or not, because this time we're not going to ask them. And we thought that for those of you who wondered, you'd like to know about that. And maybe next year at this time we'll be able to show you the rerun of the 1988 Appleton Flag Day Parade. That's the Foxtowner. I'm Walt Kalata. Thanks a lot for inviting us in.
The Valley TV magazine, The Foxtowner, is seen twice monthly here on CPN 8. Check your Cablevision TV program guide for the next Foxtowner date. If you have a subject idea, you think you should appear on The Foxtowner, or want to express an opinion, call the Foxtowner at 731-9790 any day after 11:30 a.m. Your calls are welcome. This is your announcer, Jim Shador, inviting you to join us again. Foxtowner is a Libra Day presentation.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of CPN 8 or Cablevision of the Fox Cities.
Here's the Foxtowner, the only television magazine in the Valley by and about Valley folks. And now your host, the man who gets around and knows the Valley best, Walt Kalata.
Good evening. I suspect by this time there's no secret that I have become a candidate for mayor in the city of Appleton. But one thing I would like to point out is that the purpose of this program is not to pontificate upon any political view that I might hold. But tonight's program is very definitely going to be political. At least a part of it is going to be. On January the 21st, the American Association of Retired Persons chapter, who meet at the Appleton Senior Center, hosted a forum for all of the candidates seeking the mayor's office and the new circuit judgeship. Speech-making was kept short so that everyone could be heard within a tolerable period of time. It was a good idea, it worked out well, and it turned out to be a real good session. Well, this evening we're going to be bringing you part of that program with the very definite purpose in mind that you see all of the people whose name will be on the February 16th ballot. Now, very frankly, it makes very little difference to me what an opponent might say. I don't become paranoid over that, because that's their privilege. But what is bothering me is that I get a very distinct feeling that voters in Appleton this year are not taking either the election or the candidates, for whatever reason, very seriously. Now, I think that's both sad and it's a little bit on the dangerous side as well. So to bring some attention to that coming election, we're making this time available to the candidates as they appeared before the American Association of Retired Persons at the Senior Center. Then later on in the program this evening, we'll be taking a tour of one of the most unusual museums in the world, which is devoted to diamonds and the diamond mining industry. But first of all, let's go to the Appleton Senior Center.
Now we have 4 mayoral candidates, and I'm so old-fashioned that I can't get used to all of these fancy changes they've made in the English language about women and men, and the use of miss and all that, ms and all those things. So I'm going to introduce the one woman of the 4 who is running for mayor this year again. Dorothy Johnson.
As I've told you every time I've spoken to you, you are one of my very favorite groups to address. There is a light about you, and I admire that, and I respect that, and it comes from a good life, a long life, a life of productivity. As we've been together over the years, you and I know that we've become friends, and we've trusted each other. We go way back, probably to the time that I worked at Peabody Manor with many of those whom we know and love, as I worked there as a registered nurse. From then, our friendship has grown and developed in many settings. You and I share the same values, the values of hard work, giving a full day's work for a full day's pay. You and I share the value of independence and self-reliance and resilience, and using our intuition and all of the abilities that God has given us. You and I understand what it means to inherit things. This community, keeping it wonderful and making it move forward and adapting it to these times and these conditions and these challenges. We share all of this, and further, we share a background. Think about where we've been. You remember the Depression, and I have memories as a small child of my parents pacing the floor and feeling very, very aware of how things were slipping away. But they made it, and you made it, and I came to value with them $1, understanding what money is and taxes are. And I have never forgotten that lesson. You and I share values of family and home, loving husband or wife. I have been married 35 years. We have 5 children and 4 grandchildren, and I love to live, and I love to work. I have had an extraordinary period in my life, a privilege of working as mayor. I'm qualified to be mayor because I've been mayor for 8 years. It has been a privilege to serve. I ask that I serve again, and I point out to you that it is not how long we serve, but how well we serve. I have it in here to serve again, because I care about each one of you and our community. I'm so glad that the block grant funds passed. We planned it that way. They should come to assist you in a time that we are analyzing the needs of senior citizens. I am pleased about the progress of this city over the last 8 years. It has been wonderful. I am so proud of my administration and all that has happened. We have to say that Appleton is better today than it was 8 years ago. The 3 minutes are up. I convey to you my enthusiasm, my desire to serve again, my commitment to my work. Thank you. One question. Thank you.
I was going to ask one question of the whole group of 4 candidates at the end. I didn't want to ask the first one and give them an advantage. So. Now the other 3 men, the 3 men that are running for the mayor's job are all aldermen. I didn't have a chance to have them draw straws or flip coins with me. I might take the coins, but I'm going to take them alphabetically. And the first one is Walter Kalata.
Thanks a lot. Excuse me. I always like coming here to the senior center because this is always such a fun group. And when we've had a chance to talk in the past, we've always had a great deal of fun. And I'm looking forward to that today. I hope we have some good questions when we get through. There's a couple of things that are beginning to bother me, like, and I think maybe you might be able to counsel me on that as time goes by. It wasn't until a couple of years ago that I had to wear some of these to be able to read copy if I wanted to follow something I'd written. But just this past week, I got a letter in the mail, and it said, here's your membership for a certain period of time, and I flipped it over, and somebody's trying to invite me to join the AARP. I think somebody's trying to tell me something. Well, I've got questions I'd like to put to you this afternoon. I thought the question would be interesting, because as I understood, we were going to have questions here, so we'll do it back and forth. The question I'd like to put to you this afternoon, and I think that you're the best group to bring it to, is that despite all the claims that you may be hearing from the candidates, and let me just say candidates means me, so I'm not bashing anybody. All the claims from candidates as to their experience and qualifications for office, I think that the people with the most experience are yourselves, because you people have the lifelong experience of having dealt with claims and promises from many candidates. In fact, I think I could summarize it by saying you probably heard it all. I'd like to take just a little trip back in time for a moment here. Let's go back a full generation. And how many of you remember when Bob Romer was the mayor of Appleton? Does that name sound familiar? You bet. Bob, you might recall, succeeded the late Mayor John Goodland, and I think you all remember that name. And John Goodland brought Appleton through the Depression and through World War II. And then Bob was this fair-haired boy. He was the heir apparent. He won the election and he served for 12 years. Well, I've got a copy here of Bob's last campaign photo. Do you remember this? You do. That was exactly a generation ago when this was put on your doorstep. But what was Bob telling us back in the 1950s? Well, if we look at his old campaign folder, which almost looks like a brand new one, by the way, we're finding out that Romer said that certain governmental functions should be shifted from city to county to relieve the city taxpayer. Stronger annexation laws, property tax relief for the elderly. See, you weren't elderly then, so you didn't care about that. How the worm turns, huh? Removal of the school tax from the general property tax, we've heard that before. Better regional planning, etc., etc., etc. That's all pretty familiar because, you see, practically every candidate for mayor since that time has carried the same theme. We've had a generation of mayor candidates who've been coming up saying, hey, I've got an original idea. We need stronger annexation laws. Bob Romer was talking about it 30 years ago, and probably before that. And it's become good campaign rhetoric, and that's why it's used. And I don't know if there's any reason to believe that us, the present crop of candidates, are going to do any better. I'm sure we'll all try. But my question to you is, considering this scenario for the past 30 years, and this is a question that only you can answer because we as candidates cannot, and that is the office of mayor, now I'm speaking of the office, not personalities, is the office of mayor still a viable position in this rapidly changing era? Do we still need a full-time mayor? Or is the office becoming archaic and obscure, just like the old town crier? Now, I present this question because of what I sense has been somewhat of a malaise by the public in their attitudes toward this particular mayoral campaign. And there appears to be a consensus, boy, did I kind this good. The office and the whole city hall structure is probably in need of something. But the answer is what we've got to search out. You're the people who've got to come up with the answers. I thank you very much. And one question. You mean I've answered it all? Boy, I got a bright future.
being said now reminds me that back about 1975, they were still talking about building a new Oneida Street Bridge. And I looked in the Post-Crescent. In 1921, they had a drawing of the same thing that should be going into effect. So Appleton, the wheels of justice, or whatever you want to call it, grind very slowly, but they grind exceeding fine. Now, the next candidate is also an alderman, Paul Schreider. Paul?
Thank you, Mayor, candidates, and members of the AARP. Feel pretty comfortable, more so with this crowd than the last one I spoke to. The last one was the Republican Women's League, and it was an experience, but I see a lot more friendly eyes out there, and I think people that will understand what I'm going to say. One thing that I was taught all my life from my parents, and that I listened to, was, number one, respect the elderly, which I think is something that should be improved upon by a lot of people throughout the city. We can show our respect to the elderly in many different ways. Simple ways that are just by opening a door, looking them in the eye, saying good morning, good afternoon, how are you? Just a little conversation. It's a nice start. When you're a taxpayer and you get to be in a bracket which is defined elderly, and I kind of take different with the mayor here on this fact that she said you all know the Depression, and I don't see how such a young-looking crowd could have been born before that period of time. Does that sound political? Well, getting back to it, I think that the only way a city, when you get to be in a point of retirement, past retirement, to show its respect, other than the things I had said before, just communication by saying hello, how are you, is through a gesture, and that gesture can only come through grants and funds and your tax dollar back to you to develop programs which you can benefit. There are many things that you have paid for all your life that you no longer utilize, that you should be getting something for your tax dollar. And that is, you probably have no children anymore in the school system. Some of you people don't drive and use the roads that are built with your tax dollar. You go up and down all the services that your tax dollars go to that you cannot utilize anymore. So what I think is fair and equitable is that this money comes back to you and somehow through programs that the city initiates, through centers like this one here. I would like to point out one thing. Last night was a big night at the city council meeting in which the community block grant was finalized and okayed. And after much struggle, the Appleton Senior Center did get a large portion of the grant that they had applied for. However, I would like to state that some of these other things in this community block grant, and I voted no on the whole program, although I did support and back the senior citizens, but I voted no on this for these certain points, and that is in this community block grant, there were points 9, 10, 11, and 12, which is at the very bottom of this whole package. It comes as a package. The one I objected to the most was to spend $25,000 of your tax money for a Fox Valley Arts Alliance study to see if we need an arts facility in the center of Appleton. Now, I think the way to answer this question is to call up the people and say, would you like a $100,000 facility downtown? And I think that's the easy way rather than spending all this money on studies. And thank you. One question.
Why do you want the buses way up on the other end of town? Why do you want the bus center so far west?
Well, the two sites, I guess, are, if you look from where the original site was going to be placed, which was the AAL, and if you measure from the AAL to where this other site is to the east, it's a block and a half away. The site that I am proposing is approximately a block and a half, 2 blocks to the west. I want it put on that piece of property because the city owns the whole parcel of land. You do not have to buy a building which is going to cost over $1,200,000 to develop and purchase. The city owns the property. We buy the property, sell it to the federal government, build a structure that is designed specifically for bus transfers, and thereby utilize your tax dollars to the fullest. And I guess that's, I think it's a horse apiece, wherever you put it, but it's where you get the biggest bang for your buck. I'm the fourth.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for inviting me here to speak before you. This is being a eventful occasion. I'd like to introduce my mother, who came from Cheyenne, Wisconsin, and she's happy to be here too, I think. I'm a candidate for mayor of Appleton because I feel that the new ideas and directions that will create a new spirit of optimism for the entire Fox cities and also for the citizens of Appleton, along with all the senior citizens that are here currently. I think if you're going to select a candidate for mayor, you've got to consider his background or her background, what they have done in the past is a very important ingredient, plus any ideas and programs that need consider be worthwhile to the citizens of Appleton. I'd like to express a few ideas what I have done in my lifetime. Considering I just heard a few minutes ago that I could be a member of the ARP in a matter of less than 7 years. So this is astounding. But I'll be there also someday. But my background includes a myriad of things. I'm a lifelong resident of Allegheny County, so as my forefathers. My great-grandfather came from Germany and moved to Allegheny County. And I feel that the heritage that you have established yourself as citizens of Appleton carries an important weight, and I look forward to carrying on the tradition and the heritage of Appleton as a strong community. As my family history, for example, I have a wife and 2 children. They're in school. My wife's been an art teacher in the system of Appleton since 1972. We're both committed to our church and many different programs that are currently existing. We are actively involved in many different programs that benefit a lot of different people. I'm a graduate from Oshkosh University. I've attended a number of different programs that will benefit not only yourself but other people. I have been an active serviceman in Vietnam and returned, and I'm actively involved in the veterans groups also. I've been an experienced alderman for the past 5 years, and I've been 3 terms consecutively. I've been a successful businessman since 1974, started my agency from scratch in my basement of my home, and it has grown, become very successful, and I at this time feel that it's important to consider another change of direction for my personal life, although it will still continue. My wife will still continue teaching also. As experience for leadership, I think it's important to look at that also as an important facet as a candidate and also mayor of Appleton. I've been the past president of a number of organizations, the Northside Business Association and the Insurance Association. And also I'd like to thank you for your time and your support on February 16th. Thank you very much.
A progress report from Kids with Epilepsy.
People still have weird ideas about epilepsy. They think kids like us can't play sports. Or get good grades. Or do lots of other things. Sometimes it's hard having epilepsy. But now my sisters are controlled. I can do most anything. We want people to know more about kids like us.
Epilepsy. Find out where we are today. Call the Epilepsy Foundation of America, 1-800-EFA-1000.
My little brother finally gets himself a girlfriend. So I say, Bobby, you got yourself a condom? And he says, for what? I say, for protection. Condoms are strong, they're safe, they're sensitive. He looks all embarrassed. So I say, you want to talk about this before you get your girlfriend in trouble or after? He says, I'm not going to get her in trouble. I say, you bet you're not. And I give him some condoms. Well, hey, what's a big brother for?
When the word diamonds are mentioned, you probably think of South Africa, and perhaps even more specifically, Kimberley in South Africa. Well, there, in what was once a very dusty little town, there's now a museum which is devoted to diamonds and the diamond industry. This special feature was prepared for the Foxtowner by Global News.
listen carefully, and here at the Kimberley Mine Museum, you'll hear the ghosts of the men and women who braved Atlantic crossings and then traveled hundreds of miles by ox cart, on horseback, and on foot to seek their fortune in a dusty corner of the Cape Province of South Africa. The lure which attracted them from as far afield as America, Europe, Britain, and Australia was the glitter of diamonds. Those who struck it lucky on their 40-square-foot claim and resisted the temptations of the flesh became fabulously wealthy. Men were seen lighting cigars with banknotes, while the women bathed in French champagne. All their heart's desires were imported over the same tortuous route the diggers had followed. Even this house was fully imported. Some, of course, lived the good life a little too fully. Along with the thousands of miners came the need for food, clothing, boots, equipment. And, of course, something to cool you down in temperatures which often reach 40 degrees in the shade. Not that there was much shade at the diggings anyway. The merchants brought their families and a new sense of values. The first church was built in 1875, signaling the transition from a tent settlement to a permanent city. A city that, in its heyday, was among the richest in the world. This wealth enabled the miners to buy more sophisticated equipment to haul out the diamonds. The infant city used its wealth for more than just mining equipment, bars and baubles. It was the first in Africa to install electric streetlights, and the first to operate electric trams. The trams are still running, but today they take you for an all-too-short journey into Kimberley's rough and exciting beginnings.
And a parting thought, remember that February the 16th will be the primary election day in Appleton. And that's when you will go to the polls to actually choose who the candidates are going to be in the April election. Why not start planning to vote tonight? That's our show. I'm Walt Kalata. Thanks for inviting us into your home.
The Valley TV magazine, The Foxtowner, is seen twice monthly here on CPN 8. Check your Cablevision TV program guide for the next Foxtowner date. If you have a subject idea, you think you should appear on the Foxtowner, or want to express an opinion, call the Foxtowner at 731-9790 any day after 11:30 a.m. Your calls are welcome. This is your announcer, Jim Shador, inviting you to join us again. Foxtowner is a Libra Day presentation. Here's the Foxtowner, the only television magazine in the Valley by and about Valley folks. And now your host, the man who gets around and knows the Valley best, Walt Kalata.
Well, since we're in that period of the deep winter blues, tonight we thought that just a little bit of diversion would be in order. Hi, I'm Walt Kalata. I'm your host of the Foxtowner. And first of all, let's make a stop where we'll find medieval England, a little bit of Italy, Germany, all rolled into one place. Let's warp away to Busch Gardens.
It started the first time most of us looked at a map, or read a storybook, or saw an old movie. That sense of wonder and awe at what was across the ocean. Those countries whose names evoke images of castles and knights, chalets and wineries, quaint villages and pastoral countrysides. What were the people like that lived there? Were they like us? How did they dress? What did they eat and drink? What sort of things did they make? And what did they do to have fun? So you kept looking, but the storybook lands across the sea seemed further away than ever. Yet the sense of wonder still remained. About what it would be like to walk down narrow streets through an ageless Italian village, relax at the plaza adorned with classical statues. The red-tiled roofs and plastered walls smile contentedly under the Mediterranean sun. And you share the cool shade of a Roman archway with elaborate reliefs and ornamental columns. But even as time went on, your curiosity remained. The sight of a suit of armor would send your imagination cantering over the bridge of a medieval castle, under the guard tower's watchful eyes, and into a world of pageantry and ceremony, marching by with banners flying, an ancient festival of medieval fun. Or the sound of bells chiming in the clock tower would transport you to the town square of a charming Elizabethan hamlet, strolling along quaint shops lining cobblestone streets. Old English signs hang near leaded glass windows and luxuriant flower boxes. Merchants, minstrels, guards, and tradesmen all go about their business beneath buildings of half-timber construction. And you stand dwarfed beside a magnificent draft animal. But your inquisitive spirit remained unsatisfied, and it only took a look at a German beer stein. And you're with a couple thousand of your closest friends inside a Bavarian-style fest house. Jolly burgomeisters celebrate at the long tables, and traditionally dressed folk dancers seem to sing and dance like characters on a glockenspiel. The throng feasts on a wealth of German food and drink, and all appear as happy as the decorative frescoes that celebrate above ornamental woodwork. After a while, it seemed the day would never come when you would see any of those faraway places for yourself. To sit in the sun on the left bank at a small French cafe, watching the passers-by as you sample some of the local delicacies, whiling away the afternoon amid the graceful simplicity of the provincial architecture. But now the old countries were never so close, because everything you've just seen is right here in America. It's Busch Gardens, the old country in historic Williamsburg, Virginia. 8 faithful reconstructions of English, French, German, and Italian settings from different eras in history. Visitors are always impressed by the enormous attention paid to detail. Lights both inside and out radiate with authenticity. Every doorway has its own unique latch handle, door pull, hinges, or gate. Everything from the windows on the shops to the signs that hang above them, to even the chimneys on the roofs, has been painstakingly constructed to be functional, authentic, and aesthetically pleasing. But there's more to Busch Gardens than just a visual experience. For the youngsters, there are special fun areas where they can frolic in exciting but safe games and rides. Or there's the children's zoo, filled with gentle llamas, goats, and baby animals you can pet. Then if you get tired of walking, why not relax on a peaceful cruise up the Rhine River? Or chug along amid plush accommodations on the Balmoral Castle locomotive. Take a jaunty drive in a 1913 Stutz Bearcat. Or travel conveniently from country to country in our futuristic Sky Ride. And for those of you who want a little more excitement, it's a dazzling array of roller coasters, carousels, and thrilling rides, like the Loch Ness Monster, one of the world's biggest roller coasters, or the Big Bad Wolf, hanging suspended from an overhead track as you hurtle past church steeples and weave in and out through a Bavarian village. In all, there are 36 rides to challenge young and old alike. And after so much excitement, you're bound to work up an appetite. And whether you're in a sidewalk cafe or our fabulous fest house, you'll sample authentic food from all the countries represented. From veal parmesan and spaghetti to blueberry cheesecake, bratwurst to Black Forest cake or delicious barbecue. Busch Gardens offers a culinary selection to satisfy the most Epicurean of tastes, including imported delicacies from Italy and France. After you've eaten your fill, digest it watching any one of the wide variety of live performances taking place daily on stages and in the streets. The spectacular lineup of shows feature top young performers from all over the country. And where can you stay when you visit Busch Gardens? Among the many fine accommodations nearby, you'll find the fabulous King's Mill on the James. Enjoy luxurious accommodations that sit astride 2 championship 18-hole golf courses, pro shop, tennis, and restaurant, all situated along the scenic James River. Convenient to Busch Gardens, historic Williamsburg, Yorktown, and Jamestown. So stop dreaming about faraway places. See them right here at Busch Gardens, the old country, in Williamsburg, Virginia. This is the Valley's TV magazine, the Foxtowner.
So my dad pats me on the back and calls me son, you know? And I knew I was in trouble. He says, "Is there anything you need to know, son?" And I said, "You mean like the birds and the bees and that stuff?" He says, "No, like how to protect your girlfriend." And I said, "Yeah, sure, Dad, I know." And he said, "Well, that's just fine, son." Pats me on the back again. Boy, did he look relieved. And then I said, "But Dad, what if I didn't know?"
There is no room for censorship in a free and open society. Yet after more than 2,000 years, there remain political, social, and religious institutions which would restrict and even stop the free flow of information. Censorship isn't just the handiwork of tyrants. An exhibit here at the New York Public Library shows clearly that throughout history, censorship was essential for benevolent and oppressive governments alike, because to stay in power, the thoughts of the masses had to be controlled. The last 5 centuries, however, finally have established powerful claims of expression against authority. Today, the benefits of free expression are mostly confined to the small minority of nations practicing self-government and civic freedom. And fortunately, we live in one of those nations. But it's always prudent to keep in mind Kipling's question, what stands if freedom falls? Think about it. I'm Jim Hartz with An American Viewpoint.
This time of the year, Hawaii probably holds a particular attraction to those of us who are of the snowbird type. But Hawaii is a lot more than just a big island. It's actually several islands that make up the state. And each of those islands has a particular personality all of its own. Well, that's what we're going to find out about next as we warp away this time to Hawaii.
Come to the islands of Hawaii. Come to Oahu, to Kauai, to Molokai, to Maui and Lanai. Come to Hawaii. Come and see the beauty of these islands.
Welcome to the islands of Hawaii.
Come to Oahu. Oahu is someplace like no place you've ever seen before. Oahu has history. It is the island of gods and great chiefs. It is the old and new come together in one great city, Honolulu. Oahu has excitement. If you like to shop, you'll love Oahu. If you like people, you will love Waikiki. They call Oahu the gathering place because everyone who comes here has such a good time. Honolulu is a great city to behold day or night. The magic of Oahu grows even brighter when the sun goes down.
Each time Honolulu city lights stir up memories in me. Each time Honolulu city lights will bring me back again. Bring me back again. Bring me back again.
Come to Hawaii, the Big Island. Hawaii is the island where King Kamehameha was born, the island of the goddess Pele, the island of volcanoes. Hawaii is the youngest island and the biggest island. Come see its beautiful landscapes, its plantation towns and cattle ranches. Come see its black sand beaches. Come feel the past and future of Hawaii on the Big Island. Come to the island of Maui. A legend says that once this island had little sunlight because the sun sped too quickly across the sky. So one day the god Maui captured the rays of the sun and tied them up. The sun told Maui, "If you set me free, I promise to move slowly over your island." So Maui freed the sun, and the sun kept its promise. Come to the house of the sun. Come to Maui. When you come to Maui, you must see Lahaina, the old whaling town. Lahaina is a good place to take it easy in the sun. Maui began as two volcanic peaks. The beautiful Iao Valley and the towering Pu'ukukui are separated from the great Haleakala crater by a green paradise which gives Maui its name, the Valley Isle. The sun loves Maui so much, it doesn't want to leave. And when you come to Maui, that's how you'll feel. Come to the island of Kauai. Kauai is the oldest island, and some say the most beautiful island in the world. Kauai is the greenest island. That's why it's called the Garden Isle. Kauai is a place where people still farm small patches of land to grow rice and taro. Kauai is a beautiful island of valleys and mountains, of towering waterfalls and grottos of deep green plants. The gentle trade winds that travel across the vast Pacific warm the beaches and valleys of Kauai and somehow make you feel especially welcome here. Come to all the islands of Hawaii. Come to Oahu, to Kauai. Come to Molokai, to Maui and Lanai. Come to Hawaii. Come for the beauty and stay for the people.
Well, for those of us who can't afford that winter getaway, and we just had one, it didn't cost us a whole lot of money, and I enjoyed spending my vacation with you. That's the Foxtowner. I'm Walt Kalata. Thanks for inviting me in.
The Valley TV magazine, The Foxtowner, is seen twice monthly here on CPN 8. Check your Cablevision TV program guide for the next Foxtowner date. If you have a subject idea, you think you should appear on the Foxtowner, or want to express an opinion, call the Foxtowner at 731-9790 any day after 11:30 a.m. Your calls are welcome. This is your announcer, Jim Shador, inviting you to join us again. Foxtowner is a Libra Day presentation. Here's the Foxtowner, the only television magazine in the Valley by and about Valley folks. And now your host, the man who gets around and knows the Valley best, Walt Kalata.
Tonight we explore two ideas, one whose time should have come, but is momentarily being stonewalled, and another idea whose time should never have come. It was more than a year ago when there was a suggestion that Appleton's old 120-acre landfill, which is now abandoned and located in the town of Center, should have been considered as a year-round recreational site. Well, the idea went to the Appleton Park and Recreation Department, but it never came out. When the department released its so-called master plan for park and recreational planning into the year 2000, not a word was mentioned about the idea. City planner Bill Brem confirmed to the Foxtowner that his department had never been consulted about the project. Earlier, the people with the Booballs Nature Area, which is next door to the landfill, indicated that they would have been interested in helping Appleton to develop the area. Now here's a point that you should bear in mind. Although about 2 miles, roughly speaking, by air from the nearest point in the city of Appleton, the region is an official annexed area of the city of Appleton, although it's in the town of Center. So when you're in the landfill, you're in the city of Appleton. Well, tonight, let's take a walking tour of the landfill and look at its potential as a recreational area. And then you'll get a better idea of what we're talking about. So let's jump into my pickup with me and my dog Mac, and let's go for a Sunday ride down Highway 47. This should be a familiar sight to all of you. It's where Richmond Street blends into Highway 47. And of course, right now, we're heading for beautiful downtown Macville. Macville is where we're going to be taking our left and then heading out to the landfill site.
Now, to give you just a little idea of where we are, this is where the old Outagamie County Humane Society building used to be located. Today, this is all that's left. But it's used pretty much as a parking lot by those who have decided to make early use of this area as a park. Now, this whole region, at one time, was where you sent your dirty laundry when you wanted to get rid of it on the garbage truck. Today it's beginning to grow over. In the summertime, it gets to be quite a field of daisies. We'll come back sometime this summer, and we'll take a look at it then. But for now, let's go through one of these impenetrable gates and take a look around inside. You can probably get a better lay of the land during the winter than in the summer, when the leaves are out on all the bushes and trees and pretty well obscures what the topography looks like. But now you can see that this is pretty much a piece of rolling land, lots of new growth coming in. There's a stand of poplar. And over here we have a beautiful view of somebody's junkyard. But the space is pretty wide open for all sorts of activities. Now, you'll notice there's a bit of a rise right there. Let's go there next, because you're in for a little bit of a surprise, and one of the features that really makes this a prime area for a good outdoorsman type of park. Now that's where we just were a few moments ago. We made our way up along this path right here. It's a little windy, as you can tell. Looking back at where we were a moment ago. Now let's take another panoramic view. Just beyond those trees are some railroad tracks. Now, let's go to the little surprise that I was telling you about. And now our little surprise that we told you about. When you think of the town of Center, where all of this land that we're walking on is located, what comes to mind first? Swamps. When you talk about grade A swamps, here's a real beaut. We've been here in the fall when we've seen plenty of partridge flying out of here. And here's a trail that goes deep into the swamp. This is all part of the site that we're talking about. If you go over far enough, you're going to run into the Blueball's Nature Preserve. And here, we can find it for you, because it'll be hard to find when it's covered with snow. But down here is a little bit of a creek, probably some runoff from the quarry, which is located next door. But it could be made into something that really works. Now the scene is just a little bit bleak this time of the year for what you would consider to be a park site. But you have to bear in mind we're talking about a park that would be used 12 months of the year. Now here's a pile of rubble. Old concrete, bricks, asphalt. We're going to take a walk over there next. And let's see what we can make out of some old concrete rubble. Now this area right in here could probably be used for development of a ski hill. There's a plain right there. We've been here in the summer and fall when it's obvious that this area is full of deer trails. As a matter of fact, let me show you something. Right there. Somebody has built a deer stand. Heavens to Betsy, fellas. this property is annexed to the city of Appleton. You can't hunt deer in Appleton city limits. And that's what it is, even though it's located a couple of miles out of town. But here, back to our ski hill. Could be a good novice hill, or maybe a hill for you more expert skiers, so that you can limber up before you take your annual trek up to Powderhorn and Indian Head and wherever else it is. Well, that's pretty much the lay of the land. A good outdoorsman's park for residents of the city of Appleton, if someone will ever grab the bull by the horns and do some development with it. Whether this area is ever going to really be developed into a park or not is hard to say. The general philosophy at City Hall has been to fight it. But it looks like a whole lot of people have some different ideas about it. It looks like a nice place to play. Why not? Wouldn't cost the city a thing. Well, we've shown you what it looks like in the winter. We'll come back sometime in the late spring or early summer and give you another view of what you've just seen. You'll agree that it could be quite a place. And of course, if it was ever developed in connection with the Boo Balls Nature Preserve, well, you could really have yourself a couple of thousand acres of fine recreational opportunity for the Fox Cities and for Appleton. Come here, Mac. Mac? Come here. Well, I hope you enjoyed the little walking tour of the old dump. Good place for a long-haired dog, as you can see, to get sloppy wet, which isn't such a bad idea if you happen to have a pickup truck with a cat. I'll be right back with a bad idea right after this.
More coming, so stay tuned to the Foxtowner.
There is a need in your own hometown. Please join your local chapter.
Not too long ago, if you had business at the Appleton City Hall, you could have used the east entrance, a particularly convenient way to enter the building from the Civic Plaza parking lot, but no more. Now you have to walk all the way around the City Hall building to Appleton Street, and here's how you go in. And if you haven't been to City Hall recently, you're in for a surprise, because when you walk in, you'll see that everything has changed. So what happened? It's called reorganization. It's supposed to save taxpayers money and streamline the City Hall operations. Well, so far, the only thing that's happened has been this remodeling. None of the City Hall employees are particularly happy about the changes, which they tell us are apparently causing more problems and no solutions. But there's another facet. Appleton aldermen were told last fall that the remodeling project, which you're witnessing, would cost only about $10,000. But more recently learned, $17,000 has already been spent. But our insiders tell the Foxtowner the reorganization at City Hall, or mostly the remodeling which you're witnessing, will cost $30,000 to $35,000. What's the bottom line? Well, if that's true, then are we looking at a question of a misappropriation of public funds? We'll be back with a breath of spring in just a moment.
Hello, and welcome to our special guest, handsomely dressed in a raincoat, a fellow who truly leads a dog's life. Meet McGruff, the crime dog.
Thanks, Dick. It may be a dog's life, but I'm helping people take a bite out of crime.
Indeed you are. Now, do I understand that neighborhood watch programs have reduced crime in some areas as much as 50%?
That's right, but there's more to be done.
Well, tell me about it, which I'm sure he will.
You bet. Make sure your neighborhood has plenty of lights. Leave one on in your house at night, and remember, light a light to stop a thief.
Shady characters prefer the dark, eh?
You got it. Also, start a volunteer escort service for older folks.
Aha, good news for the old folks at home, eh? What about the young folks?
Start McGruff houses.
Which are?
Houses kids can duck into in case of trouble.
Terrific. Anything else?
Yeah, that's a nice jacket, Dick.
Oh, thanks, McGruff. Hey, and thanks for all you're doing. For more information, write to this address and help
take a bite out of crime.
At the southern tip of Africa is the fairest cape of all, with its mountains, rivers, vineyards, and scenic villages. Barely 200 miles to the northwest of these green mountains lies the barren Namaqualand region, bordered to the north by the Orange River, which separates South Africa from Southwest Africa, Namibia. To the west lies the icy Atlantic Ocean, whose cold currents prevent the formation of clouds, which could change the desert into lush green lands. Most of the year, visitors to Namaqualand will see the occasional quiver tree, sandy wastes and isolated houses. This isolation from the city lights and communion with nature, which every desert dweller learns in order to survive, breeds a unique type of person. Francois Eus.
I'm the third generation, and it's a different way of life. You have a personal contact with most of the people around here. We have a personal interest in your fellow human beings, and it's just so different from the city life that we can say the quality of life in this area is superb. It's unmatchable anywhere else.
The treasure of Namaqualand lies not only in its people. The sandy wastes hide a king's ransom in minerals. White settlers started mining copper in the region more than 3 centuries ago, and today the steel headgear and sand dumps of copper mines still dot the countryside. Just below the surface, in ancient volcanic pipes and riverbeds, lies an even greater treasure: diamonds. Occasionally, nature relents. The skies cloud over and the rain does fall.
When I started school, we had some rain. I think it must have been in the month of March or April, and some of the children in class started crying, and nobody knew what was wrong. And eventually, when we calmed them down, we found out that they didn't know what was happening, what this phenomenon was that they experienced for the first time in their lives, and that was rain.
But when the winter rains and temperatures have created just the right spell, another more lasting and more beautiful treasure emerges from the desert soil. Canadian author of a book on the flowers of Namaqualand, Friedman Patterson.
These flowers, which are all around me, are not just a South African treasure, they're a world treasure. There's no other place on this planet that has such a remarkable display of flowers composed of so many different species. North America, Australia have wonderful displays, but not with this incredible number of plants blooming all at once. It's exactly as if all of the flowers in North America, which bloom during the whole year, were just cramped together and blooming within a 2-month period, at the very most 3 months. This is a place where you slow down, you get out in the veldt, and well, you just sort of get cleaned out and feel good inside. That's what happens to me here.
TV's great on 8 with the Foxtowner.
You can sit on Daddy's lap. It's just a short trip.
When you're only 28 inches, everything's a short trip.
Ah, he's wet.
And accidents can happen anywhere, especially close to home. Hey, I don't think this is safe.
Honey, that's not safe.
Thanks, Mom.
Click. Oh, well, I'll be your safety belt.
Dad, you're not a safety belt. You're a businessman. Why don't you just put me in the safety seat?
Honey, why don't you put him in the safety seat?
Great idea, Mom. The captain has turned on the fasten safety belt sign. He make those straps snug. I don't really want to go flying. Quite a view from here. On the road again. Hey, pal, don't your folks know car accidents kill more of us than any disease? Get that kid a safety seat. It's the law. Well, at least you guys know what's important. Me.
Now, stay tuned for the Foxtowner commentary.
Here's a new feature of the Foxtowner, our editorial cartoon. An idea submitted to us by a resident of Grand Chute who suggests that this is how Grand Chute looks at Appleton's efforts towards annexation. On the truck, the Appleton Annexation Army. If you have an idea for an editorial cartoon, send it to us here at the Foxtowner.
You're watching the Foxtowner on cable TV 8. Stay tuned.
This is sponsored by Wisconsin Right to Life. Beautiful little float. And right behind them comes the light to the Right Riders. Happy St. Patrick's Day. The Hillman High School Band. Let's hear an applause for them.
Well, now, if you missed the St. Pat's Parade in Appleton, dry those tears, because it's passing in review, especially for you right now. Appleton never knew there were so many sons of the old sod around until back a few years ago, when a ragtag group took up one lane of the street and then kind of meandered from downtown to Kelly's Bar on Wisconsin Avenue. From that date, the St. Pat's Parade was born. This year's procession drew more than 70 units of one description or another, like this one.
Now here is Senator Alan Lefebvre and his llama. Which one is Senator? Oh, the llama. Okay, thank you.
St. Patrick's Day is a bigger celebration and deal in the United States than it is in Ireland. And the observance here has taken on antics and proportions that it never did in Ireland. And some of the practices which are considered to be ethnic, well, they're not. They're pure made in the USA. Patrick's Day Parade is psychological here in Appleton. After all, it has become the first parade of the year in town. And then we keep in mind that March is the month of spring,
And St. Pat's means that it's the beginning of balmy spring weather again, right? There's bound to be a few leftover snowflakes.
At the Pinnacle Valley Hotel and Conference Center in the Grand Ballroom. Now we have a group of games, a great group of people from New London. And against Wake, Loyal Spire of New London.
Well, keep the faith. With the sons of Erin on the move, things are bound to heat up. Spring is certain to be sprung. And now let's watch just a little bit more of the parade activity. Well, you don't see that every day. Another look at instant replay.
We've got a bury him again. Funeral home. Deep deals on burial, no cover charge. How about that? The Irish pub from Fond du Lac. The Irish pub from Fond du Lac. London. Fond du Lac. Oh, New London, I'm sorry. St. Patrick's Day from Fond du Lac. Thank you so much for coming up here to brighten our day.
And special thanks to Jonathan Johns for filming this sequence for the Foxtowner this evening. I'm Walt Kalata. Thanks a lot for inviting us in. We'll see you again.
And the Irish are coming from the Irish bar in Fond du Lac.
The Valley TV magazine, The Foxtowner, is seen twice monthly here on CPN 8. Check your Cablevision TV program guide for the next Foxtowner date. If you have a subject idea, you think you should appear on the Foxtowner, or want to express an opinion, call the Foxtowner at 731-9790 any day after 11:30 a.m. Your calls are welcome. This is your announcer, Jim Shador, inviting you to join us again. Foxtowner is a Libra Day presentation.
And now, special for the Easter season, the Foxtowner presents the following dramatic portrayal of the arrest and the trial of Jesus Christ. Produced by the Down Bible Society, here is the crucified and risen Christ.
Behold, thy king cometh unto thee, meek, and sitting upon an ass. And a very great multitude spread their garments in the way, and others cut down branches from the trees, and strawed them in the way. And the multitudes cried, saying, Hosanna to the Son of David. A short time later, Jesus wept over Jerusalem and said, Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. For I say unto you, ye shall not see me henceforth, till ye shall say, Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. Already the scribes and Pharisees were plotting Jesus' death. They bribed Judas to betray him into their hands, which he did in the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus was arrested. Later, he was nailed to a cross and crucified, dying as the Savior of the world. When the even was come, there came a rich man of Arimathea named Joseph, who also himself was Jesus' disciple. He went to Pilate and begged the body of Jesus. Then Pilate commanded the body to be delivered. And when Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in a clean linen cloth and laid it in his own new tomb, which he had hewn out of the rock. And he rolled a great stone to the door of the sepulchre and departed. On the third day there was a great earthquake, for the angel of the Lord descended and came and rolled back the stone from before the door and sat upon it. And for fear of him, the keepers did quake and became as dead men. And the angel answered and said unto the women, Fear not ye, for I know that ye seek Jesus, which was crucified. He is not here, for he is risen, as he said. Come, see the place where the Lord lay.
Hello, friends. The death and resurrection of Jesus are vitally important events in the outworking of God's great plan of salvation. With me to discuss these events and what they will ultimately mean to the whole world of mankind are Mr. Edward Fay, Bible scholar and international lecturer, and Mr. Norman Woodworth, associate editor of the Dawn magazine.
And Russell Pollock, our moderator.
Thank you. Mr. Woodworth, would you like to fill us in briefly on some of the events leading up to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ?
Well, first of all, I think it is important to keep in mind that the crucifixion was not an unexpected event so far as Jesus was concerned. He knew that it was in the Father's plan for him to die as the Redeemer and Savior of the world. He had said well in advance, My flesh I will give for the life of the world. Just a few days before his crucifixion, he said to his disciples that he was going up to Jerusalem, where he would be arrested and put to death.
In response to this announcement, Peter said to Jesus, Be this thing far from thee, Lord.
If I remember correctly, Jesus' reply to Peter was, Get thee behind me, Satan.
That's right. And to this Jesus added, Thou savorest not the things which be of God, but the things which be of man.
And in Jerusalem later, Jesus instituted the memorial of his death, described by many as the communion supper and by others the memorial supper. Here it was in the upper room that Judas identified himself as Jesus' betrayer. From the upper room, Jesus' disciples went out over the river Kidron to the Garden of Gethsemane.
And here Jesus prayed to his Father, If it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done.
And as he was leaving the garden, Jesus said, the cup which my Father has poured, shall I not drink it?
It was here, wasn't it, that Peter drew his sword with the intent of preventing Jesus' arrest?
Yes, but Jesus would not permit Peter to use his sword for that purpose.
It was here at Gethsemane that Judas betrayed Jesus with a kiss. Is that correct?
Yes, and in this connection we need to remember that at that time there were no cameras and no television. Many people could and did know about Jesus, but comparatively few had ever seen him. So as previously agreed with Jesus' enemies, he was identified for those who had come out from Jerusalem to arrest him by the kiss of Judas.
And false witnesses had been called in to testify against Jesus. But he made no effort to refute their charges. Finally, the high priest said to him, I adjure thee by the living God that thou tell us whether thou be the Christ, the Son of God. And to this Jesus replied, Thou hast said.
In other words, Russell, Jesus confessed to a truth, knowing that his confession would make him worthy of death in the sight of the high priest. The high priest said, as recorded in Matthew 26, rending his clothes, he hath spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now ye have heard his blasphemy. What think ye? They answered and said, He is guilty of death. Then did they spit in his face and buffeted him, and others smote him with the palms of their hands.
And then, as I recall, came Peter's denial of the Master.
And that's right. And this occurred early in the hours of the morning. And the Bible account of this is in Matthew, the 27th chapter, the first and second verses, where it reads, When the morning was come, all the chief priests and elders of the people took counsel against Jesus to put him to death. And when they had bound him, they led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate, the governor.
That, of course, was the Roman governor. Since the high priests and Jewish council had decided that Jesus should die, why did they bother to take Jesus to Pilate, the Roman governor?
Well, at the time, Israel was a subject nation to the Roman Empire. While the Israelites were given a large measure of religious liberty, they were not permitted by Rome to inflict the death penalty. This could be done only by the civil authorities of Rome. The Jews were well aware of this, and when they took Jesus to Pilate, the governor said to them that they should judge Jesus by their own law. To that they replied, It is not lawful for us to put any man to death.
And when they took Jesus before Pilate, the charge was that he aspired to be a king. The question of whether or not Jesus was the Son of God was a religious issue in which the Jews knew that Pilate would not be interested. But they knew that Pilate could not ignore the charge that Jesus claimed to be a king. This would be a civil offense against the Roman government.
You know, I have always been greatly interested in Pilate's conversation with Jesus. Mr. Woodworth, perhaps you would like to read the account for us.
I'll be glad to, Russell. Read the account that is given in John's Gospel, beginning in the 18th chapter. I think it's verses 32 to about 39. Then Pilate entered into the judgment hall again, and called Jesus, and said unto him, Art thou the king of the Jews? Jesus answered him, Sayest thou this thing of thyself, or did others tell it thee of me? Pilate answered, Am I a Jew? Thine own nation and the chief priests have delivered thee unto me. What hast thou done? Jesus answered, My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now is my kingdom not from hence. Pilate therefore said unto him, Art thou a king then? Jesus answered, Thou sayest that I am a king. To this end was I born, and for this cause came I into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth. Every one that is of the truth heareth my voice. Pilate saith unto him, What is truth? And when he had said this, he went out again unto the Jews, and said unto them, I find in him no fault at all.
I think it is noteworthy that before Pilate, Jesus confessed to the charge that was brought against him, namely that he was a king. Even so, Pilate did not order his death.
I think that part of the reason for that was Jesus' explanation that his kingdom was not of this world, and that his servants did not participate in armed warfare in order to support him as their king. Pilate recognized that Jesus was no threat to the Roman Empire, and after all, that was Pilate's chief concern.
Pilate, it would seem, did what he could to save Jesus' life, but to no avail. He even offered to release a robber from prison to take Jesus' place. But the Jews, of course, would have nothing to do with this.
And Russell, the 5th verse of the next chapter informs us that Jesus came forth wearing a crown of thorns, which the Roman soldiers had put upon his head in derision, and the purple robe. And Pilate said to this mob of enemies, Behold the man. Tradition has it that this statement was made from the balcony of Pilate's judgment hall. He could find no fault in Jesus, and invited his enemies to take full note of the noble man whose death they were demanding.
But it was all to no avail, and Jesus' enemies cried the louder, Crucify him, crucify him. Surely religious prejudice, selfishness, and jealousy have been horrible influences in the hearts and lives of people throughout the centuries.
So the Roman soldiers took Jesus to crucify him. Ed, you might read the scripture on this account.
Surely, I'll read from John's Gospel. Then delivered he him therefore unto them to be crucified. And they took Jesus and led him away. And he, bearing his cross, went forth into a place called the place of a skull, which is in the Hebrew Golgotha, where they crucified him, and 2 other with him, on either side one, and Jesus in the midst. And Pilate wrote a title, and put it on the cross. And the writing was, Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews.
Yes, they crucified the future king of earth. But, Mr. Woodworth, would you say that this was altogether a tragedy?
Oh, not at all, at least not from God's standpoint. It was an essential part of his great program of redemption. The next step in the outworking of God's plan of salvation was Jesus' resurrection. Jesus was buried in the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea. Nicodemus, who went to Jesus by night to ask questions, provided spices for his burial. Many believe that this is that tomb, and its location and other details indicate that it indeed may well be.
Russell, I would like to read the account of Jesus' burial as presented by the Apostle John.
Certainly, Ed, by all means.
It begins in John, the 19th chapter, and the 40th verse through the 42nd. And we read, Then took they the body of Jesus and wound it in linen clothes with the spices, as the manner of the Jews is to bury. Now in the place where he was crucified there was a garden, and in the garden a new sepulchre, wherein was never man yet laid. There laid they Jesus, therefore, because of the Jews' preparation day, for the sepulchre was nigh at hand.
This garden photograph was taken from the entrance to the tomb, and as the record states, both the tomb and the garden were very close to the place of crucifixion. They are nestling just under the brow of Golgotha. Mary Magdalene was first at the tomb after Jesus was resurrected. After notifying the disciples that she had found the tomb empty, she returned to inquire as to where his body had been taken. She inquired of one whom she thought to be the gardener, but it was Jesus, and she recognized him only when he spoke to her in his old familiar manner.
But Jesus appeared to his disciples on several occasions after his resurrection, did he not?
Yes, he did, Russell, but never in the same way. To Mary, he appeared as a gardener. To two of his disciples on the road to Emmaus, he appeared as a stranger. And on this occasion, he carried on a very interesting conversation. Jesus asked these disciples the cause of their sadness, and they asked him if he had not heard of the events of the last 3 days, mentioning Jesus, whom they had accepted as their Messiah. But his enemies, they said, had crucified him. And while some women who had been at the tomb reported that Jesus had been resurrected, these disciples considered this to be merely an idle tale.
I would like to read Jesus' reply to these disciples.
Go right ahead. The Bible is really what we want to hear.
It's found in Luke chapter 24, and I'll begin reading at the 25th verse. Then he said unto them, that is, Jesus said unto them, O fools and slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Ought not Christ to have suffered these things and to enter into his glory? And beginning at Moses and all the prophets, he expounded unto them in all the scriptures the things concerning himself. And they drew nigh unto the village whither they went, and he made as though he would have gone further. But they constrained him, saying, Abide with us, for it is toward evening, and the day is far spent. And he went in to tarry with them. And it came to pass, as he sat at meat with them, he took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave to them. And their eyes were opened, and they knew him, and he vanished out of their sight.
That was surely a wonderful sermon and very instructive. It seems to me that it shows clearly why Jesus voluntarily gave himself up to die, does it not?
Indeed so, Russell. It shows that the holy prophets of old, God's holy prophets, have foretold both his death and resurrection and explained why the Messiah must die. I remember the prophet Isaiah had emphasized that Jesus would give his soul an offering for sin, that on him would be laid the iniquity of us all.
And of course, the Old Testament had also foretold the glory that would follow Jesus' resurrection.
And Jesus simply explained to those two disciples on the road to Emmaus that before these kingdom promises could be fulfilled, it was necessary that he suffer and die as the Redeemer of the world. As I remember, those two disciples, in telling about their experience with the resurrected Jesus, said, Did not our hearts burn within us as he talked with us by the way and opened to us the Scriptures?
And I think, Russell, that there is no experience more heartwarming than coming to a better understanding of the plan of God as outlined in the Bible.
Then I believe Jesus appeared on the shore of the Sea of Galilee, right?
Right. But the disciples didn't recognize him. Jesus learned that they had caught no fish, and he suggested, calling from the shore, that they cast their nets down on the other side of the ship. And when they did, the nets quickly filled with fish. Now, a similar miracle to this had occurred when Jesus first called them to be his apostles. So at once they realized that this stranger on the shore was the resurrected Jesus.
You have been emphasizing the fact that Jesus' appearances were all different, and that the disciples never recognized him except through the things which he did or said. Is it not true that on one occasion he appeared to his disciples in a way that they did recognize him? I believe he showed nail prints in his hands and in his feet, and also a wound in his side.
That's true enough, Russell, but the reason for this was that Thomas had said that he would not believe that Jesus had been raised from the dead unless he could see those nail prints. So Jesus, who was not visibly present with his disciples when Thomas made this remark, nevertheless knew about it. So he accommodated Thomas and presented himself in a body with nail prints in the hands and in the feet.
John explains this in chapter 20 of his gospel, verse 30, referring to it as a sign. He said, and many other signs truly did Jesus in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book. All his appearances after his resurrection were as signs to demonstrate the fact that he had been raised from the dead. Luke refers to these signs as infallible proofs of his resurrection.
Ed, would you say that none of the bodies in which Jesus appeared was his real resurrection body?
Well, that's my understanding, Russell. The scriptures explain that while Jesus was put to death in the flesh, he was resurrected in the spirit. That is, a highly exalted spirit being, which by nature is invisible to human eyes. He gave his flesh, his humanity, for the life of the world. If he had been raised from the dead as a human, the world would not have been redeemed.
Very good. But, Mr. Woodworth, what was the last time Jesus appeared to his disciples?
That, Russell, was on the Mount of Olives. And it was at this time that he departed from them, being taken up into heaven, there to appear in heaven for us. And later, of course, for the whole world of mankind.
And Russell, I would like to read the record of a part of what took place on the Mount of Olives at that time. I'll begin reading. It's in Acts, the 1st chapter, and I'll start at the 6th verse. When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? And he said unto them, It is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath put in his own power, but ye shall receive power. After that the Holy Spirit is come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me both in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and unto the uttermost part of the earth. And when he'd spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Jesus, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall come, or shall so come, in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven.
Well, here we have the renewal of Jesus' commission to his disciples to be his witnesses throughout the whole earth, and the assurance that he would come again. Mr. Woodworth, briefly, what would you say was to be the purpose of our Lord's return?
Well, first of all, it was to fulfill his promise to his disciples the night before he was crucified. The promise that he would come again and receive them unto himself.
You see, Russell, the loyal followers of Jesus in what is described in Revelation chapter 20 as the first resurrection are to be exalted with Jesus, to live and reign with him 1,000 years.
And the purpose of that reign is to give peace and life to all mankind. So we could say that Jesus was also to return to give life to the world. You'll remember that Jesus said to the scribes and Pharisees a few days before his crucifixion that while their house was to be left unto them desolate, they would see him again, and that then they would say, "Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord."
That would indicate, would it not, that even sinners will be blessed by Jesus during his kingdom reign?
Yes, it would, Russell. All men will be enlightened and blessed in that period which Peter describes as times of restitution of all things, which has been spoken by all God's holy prophets since the world began. So we can see that the birth, death, and resurrection of Jesus are indeed very important developments in God's great plan of the ages and of salvation for the sin-cursed and dying race.
A wonderful prospect. And friends, we want to send you a little book which provides further information concerning Jesus' place in the plan of God. It is entitled Jesus, the World's Savior, from which I want to read just a few lines. Never before in human experience has there been such a dire need for a competent ruler, one who would be able to lead the hate-infested nations of the earth out of the cross currents of selfishness and despair into the wholesome atmosphere of trust and goodwill, without which there can be no lasting peace on earth and no security for either individuals or nations. Jesus is soon to become such a ruler. You will enjoy reading about his qualifications in the little book, Jesus, the World's Savior, and we want to send you a copy free and without obligation of any kind. To obtain your free copy of Jesus, the World's Savior, address your request to the Bible Answers, Box 60, General Post Office, New York City. I repeat, to obtain your free copy of the little book, Jesus, the World's Savior, mail your request to the Bible Answers, Box 60, General Post Office, New York City, and the little book will be mailed to you free and without obligation. And now, until we see you again, goodbye and may God bless you.
Coming up on the Foxtowner on April the 14th, Karen Laws, former producer with NBC, now a resident of Appleton, previews for us a film she produced about arts in Appleton and the Fox Cities. And on April the 28th, the Foxtowner takes you on an exclusive tour of the Outagamie Airport, one of the Valley's largest employers and one of the fastest growing airports in the nation. That's coming up on the Foxtowner. Thanks for joining us. I'm Bill Day.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of CPN 8 or Cablevision of the Fox Cities.
Here's the Foxtowner, the only television magazine in the Valley by and about Valley folks. And now your host, the man who gets around and knows the valley best, Walt Kalata.
There's one thing that we're not short of in the Fox cities, and that seems to be a lot of talent. And when we run into somebody who not only has this talent, but can bring us an example of that, we feel that we have a program. And this evening, we want to welcome to the Foxtowner, Karen Laws. Karen, welcome.
Thank you, Walt.
Now I'm going to put all the dressing on everything that I just said, but I don't think I exaggerated when I said we have someone with a lot of talent who can bring us an example of that. First of all, you're a Kakana girl to begin with, and then you were transferred to New York City where they changed all of you.
Oh, yes, definitely.
You got sick of the rat race.
Yes, I did.
And you came back here to Appleton.
And it was a good choice.
And here you are today.
Yes.
But in between, there was this little stop that was called NBC.
It was quite a stop, yeah. I worked at NBC for almost 20 years, about 18.
And you were involved with production, research?
Yes. I started out as a tour guide, giving tours to Cub Scouts from New Jersey.
You know, that's almost the Horatio Alger type of story. You hear how someone becomes an actress and a big name later on, and they'll ask, well, where did you get started? How did they start you off? Well, I was a tour guide.
Yeah, well, that's what I was. And I think I threatened to strangle the next Cub Scout I saw, and they promoted me out of that.
Was that literally the foot in the door?
It was, and especially, this was quite a few years ago. And being a tour guide at NBC was a real entry, especially for men. Men could stay on the tour staff for 2 years. Women had, I think, 12 months, and then they had to move on. They wanted to change the faces of the women tour guides. It was an interesting experience.
You became involved in the production of many documentaries at a time when documentaries were a heavy thing in television. But you hadn't planned, again, to get involved in that sort of thing. It just sort of happened.
It really did. Someone asked me if I could type, and I lied and said yes. I couldn't even put a phone on hold. I was a college graduate, but I couldn't do that. And I sort of talked my way into a secretarial position for one of the top documentary producers in the networks.
I suspect you must have come on sounding very authoritative, and so they said, well, that gal knows what she's talking about.
Well, I had a pretty good acting background, because I'd wanted to be an actress, and I kind of acted as if I knew what I was doing and talked my way in. I think that really did matter.
And so you spent about 20 years, 18 years actually producing documentary-type work. And when you and your husband, who's now in the area too, of course, and he also was involved in the media.
Yes, he's a composer, conductor of music.
Wrote
commercials, television, movies,
background music?
Yeah, no hit songs, but lots of, he was the musical director on Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and lots of children's specials that still run.
And so when you moved to Appleton and somebody found out that you had this background, all of a sudden they said, well, here's the woman that should put together bringing the arts to everyone.
Well, actually, it wasn't my idea at all. Peter Ducklow in Appleton of Ducklow Communications had the idea quite a few years ago and started out filming some of the events that happened. And then it was kind of put on the shelf for a while. And when I came on the board of the Arts Alliance and they found out about my background, they kind of took it off the shelf and it got going again.
And so the entire project was put into your hands.
Yes, it was.
Tell us a little bit about bringing the arts to everyone.
It was lots of fun to do. We had, over a period of about 2 years, we filmed or taped bits and pieces of productions, Art in the Park, quite a few different events in the Valley. What was interesting to me, and I think is interesting to the audience also that sees it, is that there's really a lot going on in the Valley.
You know, you're right, and that's why when we began our discussion this evening, I said, you know, there's so much talent available in the Valley here.
There really is.
Yeah, and if you really want to do something, it isn't hard. All you have to do is look around for a little while, and you can find people who can do this and do that. Next thing you know, you can put something together. Take, for example, our Foxtowner program. Here I picked these two fellows up, you know, out of the Salvation Army line, and we made cameramen and producers out of them. We're doing a television show.
Amazing, isn't it?
It really is, all this talent that's hanging around. Well, Karen, why don't we take a look at bringing the arts to everyone? And do we officially call you the producer of the program?
Yes, I was the producer.
Okay, all right. Let's take a look at bringing the arts to everyone.
I'm the director of Children's Ballet Theater. We do a lot of performing for elementary schools, for clubs, for civic kinds of programs. The children who are in the company work very hard because it takes them quite a lot of dancing before they're ready to do the performing. The Fox Valley Arts Alliance has been just wonderfully supportive. Because of them, we are able to have a scholarship program for children who otherwise could not afford to dance. And last year I figured that I believe it was 1/3 of our Children's Ballet Theater membership had been former scholarship winners. The Green Lake Festival does summer performances, and they have the Miracore Trio as a in-residence group. I was asked to choreograph a piece of music that John Harmon wrote. The Miracore Trio played it, and it was wonderful. I enjoyed the collaboration a lot. The children enjoyed it. I hope to do that again sometime. And the Arts Alliance had a hand in that.
The Fox Valley Arts Alliance is a powerful force for art activities in this area, and particularly theater. They're a place to go to when you want answers, such as what opportunities are there to perform, what opportunities are there to watch, and the Fox Valley Arts Alliance can provide all this. They also, to name another function, can provide people who are interested in entertainment with expertise. Names of people who perform, names of people who can work tech, names of people who can do all the various and sundry jobs that have to be done if you're going to have a lively theater program. Among the things that are available to the person who is interested in being a volunteer in the arts is, first of all, performing on the stage, but then there are numerous other jobs. To begin with, you've got the set, you've got to build sets, you've got to light them, you've got to costume them. The possibilities here are just enormous. There are many, many producing groups, and if you wanted to look, you could find some theatrical offering almost any week of the year.
There's a pretty strong group of current contemporary working artists. I think maybe 30 that are doing some really interesting work in the Valley. I think anyone looking for any form of visual expression here in the Valley can pretty much find what they need from artists working here. There's a new influx of professional people that are coming in from larger cities that have been exposed to a higher quality and different standards in the arts, performance, visual, what have you. And I think they're looking for that here in the Valley, and it's about time that these trends start upgrading themselves with the influx of people. And some of the corporations, too, are beginning to define this contemporary trend and upbeat art that is being done in the area. There are people here that are just as fine of artists and that they don't have to go elsewhere. One of the things that I'd been involved in through funding from the Arts Alliance were curating paper shows for the Bergstrom and the funding of an artist-in-residence program for the Jefferson School, which through the Arts Alliance and the Wisconsin Arts Board made it possible to do this program for the children in papermaking.
Just having a climate of the arts in the Valley available for children is very important. Making the arts accessible to children, both in spectating or participating is one way that we grown-ups can pass along the best of ourselves to those children. In drama and dance, in the arts, somehow when those involve children, they're for children and involve children, this somehow taps, I think, a great creative power pool, which after all has put us on the moon and also keeps us free. A joyful reaction to the arts is not the exclusive property of grown-ups. There is certainly vast opportunity to explore music, both to learn to play, to be in a group, and certainly to listen and to enjoy. For children to see other people enjoying the arts, knowing that there is arts for them, that the arts are an intrinsic part of everybody's life, of course the arts, gives them the sanity keepers that we all need. And the arts are sanity keepers. And the Arts Alliance is a big insurance policy for sanity.
I think the arts constitute an element of our lives that enables us to reach beyond our day-to-day activities, our comings and goings, our work lives, our family lives. It gives us a dimension to life that reaches across time, across cultures. And I think that the quality of life in this community is a direct function of the availability and the prevalence of the arts in our community. I think we are surrounded by the arts, and I think very often outsiders recognize the very distinctive quality that those arts bring to our lives, more so than perhaps many of us who've lived here for some years who may take them for granted.
For me, it's kind of a mix of the best of both worlds. You know, you get where I live is also where I work. You know, my creative environment is my living environment. When I was at the concerts that we did, it was so interesting to look out into the crowd and you can see your insurance man and you can have your veterinarian and you can see all these people from your own community, from your own backyard, people that all live within 10 or 15 miles of you that are a part of your audience, that are a part of your community at the same time. And those are the folks that are supporting us. Just look at a newspaper before a weekend comes up and see all the things that are there. If you're interested in symphony orchestras or chamber music, all you've got to do is catch any one of the 3 or 4 community orchestras that we have. We've got fine university groups that are great public school organizations. If you're interested in choral music, you can see some of the finest and most spirited community organizations that are all together just for the fun of it. There's just so much to offer here right in our own backyard.
The members of the Fox Valley Symphony and myself get together because we love music and we love to perform, and also because we're engaged in the search for excellence, and we like to be in touch with greatness as represented by the music we play. We love to perform music of great composers, and we love to explore the music of new composers. And I think that we fulfill a need in the community. In fulfilling that need, we offer subscription concerts, and we also offer the chamber orchestra. In addition, we offer a family concert, holiday concerts, and even the pops.
The Arts Alliance really did not create the arts here. The Arts Alliance reflects the arts here. And the fact that we can support an Arts Alliance is another way of saying that we as a community support and benefit from the arts themselves. So the Arts Alliance is in effect the symbol, if you will, or the public face of many different arts organizations that touch many different tastes, many different age groups. I think there's something here for all of us.
And there you had Bringing the Arts to Everyone, produced by Karen Laws. Karen, how is this film being utilized?
Well, it's property of the Arts Alliance, and all anyone has to do to see it is call Lee Parker, who's the executive director of the Arts Alliance, and ask to be put on the list. We have quite a few copies available for no charge, and any group or organization that's interested in learning more about the Arts Alliance, it comes with or without additional speaker.
So you can get a speaker with it too?
You can get a speaker with it. I think it can stand on its own in some ways. It, you know, it doesn't talk about the Arts Alliance specifically, but I think that Lee has many other things that she can add to it. We don't talk in the film, for example, about the grants program. Some of the specific things that the Arts Alliance does do for the groups in the area. But Lee needed, you know, when the Arts Alliance itself isn't really, it doesn't do anything except promote the arts. And
the arts do need some promotion,
and they
of course.
do.
That's right.
But it's a board. That's what it is. And that's how the whole idea really took off for doing a film. We're representing, as members of the board, dance and music and theater and the visual arts and the written arts.
Right.
And we don't do that ourselves. And that's how the idea of the film came. If we could just have something to show people, and that's what we hope to do.
And of course,
in the
develop their interest and things of that nature.
Yes.
Thought occurred to me, with the many years that you spent in New York, and of course when we think of the arts and everything, naturally New York has got to be the epitome, I suspect, of everything. And naturally the exposure to the arts there would be super terrific. I think it would probably be the best way to describe it. When you think of the arts in a community like that, and we come to Appleton, is there the same amount of interest, I suspect the statisticians would say per capita, quote unquote, but I mean, does there seem to be the same sort of interest, enthusiasm here as we would find, for example, in a community like New York? Maybe what I'm asking is, do we have culture?
Yes, I think we really do. Certainly there's a higher quality across the board of things in New York, but there's a lot of bad stuff going on there too.
It's going to attract everyone, I suspect.
Yes, that's true. I was amazed when we moved back here. I mean, one of the reasons that we chose to move back here, my husband and I, was that there were artistic things available. And I think we do much more now here as residents of Appleton than we did in New York. It's very expensive in New York. It's a rat race. By the time you're done working, you really have to want to see something very, very bad, not just have a passing interest.
Is it true that nobody really lives in New York, but they all seem to be there?
Well, we used to say, I worked in Rockefeller Center, and on holidays we used to say there's no one in Cleveland, they're all in Rockefeller Center today because you couldn't move. I liked living there. I lived there and I enjoyed it a lot.
What do you think, and I'll ask you for a personal opinion now, what do you think needs to be done as far as promotion and the development of the arts in the Valley is concerned? Is there a hole that you see, or it's throwing kind of a heavy weight on you there, but...
I don't know. I think that it's a very positive force in this area. I'm amazed at how many things are going on and how well they're supported. The quality, I have heard, is increasing. It's going up and up.
There's quite an influx of new people coming into the Valley. Do you think many of these new residents may be bringing these things into the area?
I think that's true, and they're demanding more. Tom Grady, the visual artist in the film that we just saw in the tape, says that. There is an influx of people into this area, and they have been to the Met. They have been in Chicago and San Francisco and St. Louis and so on, and they really want a higher standard in the performances and the things that we do here. And I think that's happening, and that's very exciting. And certainly there's room for the novice here too. I don't mean to say that we should work to be an elitist valley. I don't mean that at all. But
an opening for everyone, so to speak.
I think there is, yes.
Right. Karen, I want to thank you very much for sharing your film with us.
Thank you.
And I hope a lot of people will ask to see it.
I hope so too.
And if you do anything exciting like this again in the future, let us know, because we'd like to have it right here.
I sure will.
Karen Laws has been our guest, and we're going to be back with commentary in just a moment.
I'm Barbara Keyes, Executive Director of the Wisconsin Alzheimer's Information and Training Center, a state-funded program of ADRDA Southeastern Wisconsin. Alzheimer's is a progressive neurological disease that affects over 50,000 Wisconsinites. This irreversible disease steals the memory of its victims, impairs judgment, and alters personality and behavior. Although research is promising, there is no known cure. Wisconsin recognizes the special effort of those who provide sensitive care to individuals with this disease, enhancing their quality of life. For more information on this disease, resources available, or ways to provide special care, contact the State Alzheimer's Information Center at 1-800-922-2413.
And a footnote, all of the scenes in the production, bringing the arts to everyone, were photographed in Appleton and in the Fox Cities. And now let's talk about some March Madness. March Madness, which is how some are describing the final days recently of the Wisconsin legislature. And the Wisconsin legislature, it appears, has gone absolutely loony. Final passage of a parimutuel betting bill is a prime example of the state of mind of lawmakers. In voting to sanction betting on horse, dog, and snowmobile racing, the legislature has already set a low standard. It pushed its image even lower when it voted to permit the state to subsidize the construction of horse tracks. That would be accomplished through the tax breaks for startup costs. Let's put it in another perspective. Here is a legislature which gave serious thought to taking away tax breaks for business, which would have added to the state's productivity and industrial strength, deciding to extend favors to a form of enterprise that essentially exchanges quick thrills and high hopes for hard-earned cash. In the discussion of property tax relief that has dominated this past session, much has been said about increasing some taxes in order to raise money to finance reductions in property taxes with higher taxes. Some legislators would accomplish that by eliminating preferential treatment of capital gains in Wisconsin without considering the impact on the expansion on legitimate business or investment for job creation. Legislators have opted instead for tax dollar supported gambling, and then they sell that under the guise of economic development. They never say that the development they envision will be built on the backs of people who might otherwise not gamble. Well, Governor Thompson soon must make a decision on the legislation. It's been our feeling that Thompson should veto it. That action, however, is not anticipated. And we thank Milwaukee Sentinel for that editorial from which we quoted. That's the Foxtowner. Thanks for inviting us in. I'm Walt Kalata.
The Valley TV magazine, The Foxtowner, is seen twice monthly here on CPN 8. Check your Cablevision TV program guide for the next Foxtowner date. If you have a subject idea, you think you should appear on The Foxtowner, or want to express an opinion, call The Foxtowner at 731-9790 any day after 11:30 a.m. Your calls are welcome. This is your announcer, Jim Shador, inviting you to join us again. Foxtowner is a Libra Day presentation.